All right, it is 6:30 by my clock. We'll go ahead and reconvene this budget meeting that we're trying to have. We do have two. We left last night. There was one on the agenda for today, and we've had another request. So we'll do as we did last night. We'll begin as first come, first serve, and with that, that's Mr. Chad Beasley. You're up. Welcome.
Excuse me. Before Chad gets started, I was just going to point everybody to the right page in the book and the right page in the pamphlet.
Thank you.
In the notebook, it is tab 31 is the school budget, and then in the handouts is page 34.
And I'd like to make one comment before we get started. Last night was a kind of a very lengthy night. We heard from a lot of folks. But at the end of it, we were presented with a gift of $1,000. So I just want to share that in case there's somebody here tonight that feels like that they want to, give us a gift. It wasn't for the job we're doing on the budget. It was the folks that the Fiber Fest that was put on. They wanted to make that donation back to the county for the opportunity that they had. They said it was a great success. So,
since Mr. Beasley's
Come
standing
looking
there,
for gifts is what I was saying.
you can get the ball rolling.
I do not come bearing gifts. I come looking for gifts tonight. So.
well, I thought I would try to set the tone a little bit and lighten the air a little bit.
Well, that's going to happen.
Y'all ready?
Go ahead.
All right. Before we get started, I do appreciate the opportunity to come tonight and speak to you about our budget and answer any questions. And before I make any comments, though, we have a few members of our board here. I just want to know if there's any of our board members who'd like to come up to the podium and make some statements, comments.
Good evening. This is probably one of the hardest times we go through at budget time, and I told Tom there a while ago, he and I was about at the end of the road. We're about done, but we do appreciate what y'all do for the camp, for our schools, and we can't operate without you all. And I know that each year gets a little harder, gets a little tougher, but at the end of the day, it's all about our kids and educating our kids. But we do appreciate what y'all do for us, and we've had a good working relationship. We've started our joint meetings, something that we've not had in a long time, which is real good. But we do appreciate what you do, and I know as you're going through your budget, just like we are, we struggle. We don't want to see cuts, but we appreciate everything you can do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babe. I appreciate those words. Before I get into the budget, like I said, I want to make a few comments, a few statements about where we were a few years ago and where we're at now. The Allegheny County Board of Education appreciates the interest that the Allegheny Board of Commissioners has shown for the education of the children of this county. We do have a close working relationship between two boards that has the potential to yield great benefits for both the students and citizens of Allegheny County. We've constructed this budget with a great deal of thought and with the consideration of the financial issues that you guys are currently facing in our county. This year, we will have our small county funding. I am a little concerned about next year, though. The General Assembly is going to bring it back to the docket next year, and so that kind of scares me a little bit. Currently, our small counties funding is used to supplement many of our other state programs. It's a flat funded on an ADM basis. With that being said, it does not increase for salary or matching benefits increases. In the past years, we've attempted to have a small counties funding split, about 75 personnel, 25% non-personnel, and that's due to tightening state budgets. Nearly 100% of our small county funding is now 100% personnel. So if we lose that next year, we'll lose about 20 to 25 positions that we pay for out of that small county funding. And about 17 of those are teaching jobs right now. So, like I said, it comes up year after year, but it is from a good source from down at DPI and with our executive board, with the superintendents. I'm afraid it may be back on the docket, but it doesn't mean it's going to go away. But when they start looking at things, sometimes it has a tendency to get cut. We began the 2018 school year with a projected small counties deficit in excess of $200,000. As noted above, small counties is flat funded. There's also, with the small county funding, is where we pay a lot of our lower paid teachers and have been receiving the highest salary increases, though, for the past couple of years, and that kind of hurts us when it's flat funded that way. We now have to fund all our school custodians to small counties due to inadequate funding in State Program 003. When you consider these personnel increases in small counties, coupled with rising benefit rates, flat funding, Allegheny County Schools faces a potentially devastating personnel crisis in the future. Again, especially if the small counties is either cut or reduced in any way. For the last 2 years, our planning allotments that we received from the state, they're down significantly by over $200,000. Additionally, the outlook for funding we received from the federal government is still unclear. We do not have those allotments yet. They are slowly trickling in, but we don't have those allotments yet, so I can't give you those figures. We do believe that for a community to thrive and prosper, the local school system must be the very best it can be. Allegheny County Schools is doing great things for its children. The dropout rate continues to decrease at the high school. The graduation rate continues to increase. And we are doing a much, much better job producing graduates who are career and college ready now. Our ability to continue to deliver a high-quality education to Allegheny County's most precious resource, its youth, has been severely compromised by the drastic reductions, though, over the past 8 years. And I just want to highlight some of those reductions that we've faced over the last 8 years, not just in Allegheny County, but also across the state and other school systems. Just to give you a few examples, classroom teachers in 2009, we were state funded for 75 positions. In 2018, we were down to 62. Projections this year are dropping to 60. We will only be funded for 60 teachers from state appropriations 001. Our school building administrators, principals, assistant principals, which is program 005. In 2009, we were funded for 68 months of employment. We're down to 62 months in 2018, and I think that's dropped down to 60 months coming up this coming school year. Our instructional support, guidance counselors, media coordinators, those types of programs. 2009, we had 8 funded positions. We're down to 6 from 2018. Our CTE months of employment, career and technical education teachers, we were funded at 119 months of employment back in 2009. In 2018, we were funded at 111. And we've also had another 2 months reduction in that area coming up. In addition to budget cuts, state dollar allotments have been impacted by legislative salary and benefit increases. In the last couple of years, teachers, especially beginning teachers, have received salary increases, in some cases sizable increases. The matching retirement rate that Allegheny County Schools must pay an employee's salary is 8.14% in 2009. 2018, it is at 17.13 that we have to pay. So health insurance premiums paid for each employee were $4,157 in 2009. That's an increase now in 2018 of $5,869. Our non-instructional support personnel in 2009 was $434,000. In 2018, it dropped down to $350,000. Our teacher assistant program, 027 funds that we get from the state. 2009, we had $550,000 allotted to us. 2018, that was cut down to $316,000. I'm going to throw just a few more numbers and I'll quit with the bad news. But staff development, professional development that all of our teachers we require to go to, our administrators. In 2009, we were funded at $40,201. In 2018, we were funded at $0 for staff development. Classroom supplies and materials, in 2009, we were funded at $93,000. 2018, we were funded at $41,000. Textbooks in 2009, $106,561. In 2018, $57,710. You know, this impact reduction, student instruction also speaks for itself, and the 2018 allotment is one of the more generous textbooks allotments in the past several years. Transportation, our yellow bus transportations of students to and from school. 2009 was $349. 2018, it was $318,000. The reduction doesn't seem that large, but given supply prices increases, especially gasoline, diesel fuel, and in any particular year, our transportation department breaks even in some years. Some years we have locally supplemented our transportation department as much as $250,000, excuse me. Our total state initial budget allotment in 2009 was $11,228,695. 2018, we were allotted $10,585,295, a reduction of $643,400. As you can see, we've been cut, and we've been cut just about every year since 2009. But I can say you guys have really supported us, though. And that's what I'm here to say tonight is you know, even though we began to see some funding increases in 2015-16, these reductions have really hampered our ability to provide the most basic of instructional personnel and instructional supplies for the children. And you know, we're here tonight to ask you that to help us to be able to continue to properly equip our students for the future. We continue to dramatically improve the education that Allegheny County students receive. We also believe that we are incredibly efficient with the dollars we receive. An investment in children is an investment in Allegheny County's future. We need your support and your help in a very difficult time for the children of this county, and we stand ready to continue our partnership with the Allegheny County Board of Commissioners and the citizens of Allegheny County. And as I said, we'd just like to say thank you for your support and your commitment that you have shown over these years for Allegheny County schools. Without your support, a lot of things we're able to offer our students we would not be able to if we relied on state funding as it is right now. So, with that being said, I'm just going to hit. I know you've had the budget in your packet for a few weeks. I'm just going to flip to the last page of our local current expense budget. Our proposed budget, it's the line item 136, grand total revenues is $3,616,490,000. That's an increase of $414,078. Our adopted budget in 17-18 was $3.202 million. And then as far as our proposed budget for the capital outlay, should be on the next page. That's line item 40. It's our proposed revenues for that will be $885,685. And I see some of you looking for it.
Capital's on the next tab
Is it on the next tab?
in the book.
Okay. We did.
And-
Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
that's okay. And in the packet, capital is on page,
47.
thank you.
The capital outlay budget should be one page, and the current expense budget is 6 pages, I think.
Good news is sales tax is running about 9% above budget for the year.
That's great
So we
news.
should have about another 50,000 in addition to the 517 for
great.
the year that's
This-
ending June
okay.
30th of this year. So
That's great.
we'll be somewhere around 50,000. We'll see where it shakes out, but somewhere in that range. So
That's good news, Mike. I will let you know, Brandon, we completed all of our capital outlay projects this year that we have proposed. We may have one or two, but the projects for our capital outlay, we've still got a couple left to do, but we have stayed under budget for that this year, significantly under budgets, which is a good thing. So with Brent on board and doing some things differently, we're getting a tighter budget as far as our capital expenses go, and so it's we've been able to save some money there. Does anybody got any questions about anything on this budget?
Well, I do, it's not really a direct budget, but you kind of, when you
This is
first
a proposed
started,
budget.
you went to, you kind of talked about all the cuts
Yeah.
over a period of
Right.
time. And sound, pretty, it's pretty tough hearing all of that, but it's reality. We went through it. With given all of those, now, how long have you been in your position?
This is I just finished my third year.
Okay, and I
Mark.
know we've brought on some new folks in various areas, things change around, but given all of that, could you speak to the kind of the state of Allegheny County schools and kind of where they are and what they look like now, in spite of the challenges that you've had to deal with in cuts?
I look back, I've looked back at some, let's talk about our ADM, our average daily membership. In 2009, the enrollment in Allegheny County schools was probably around 1,600 students, give or take, up or down a little bit. And we really haven't dropped that much. We've dropped about 200 students, I will say that, but since then it's leveled off, and our numbers are consistently the same at Piney, they're consistently the same at Glade, they're consistently the same at the high school, and they're pretty consistent at Sparta. What we have been able to do, though, with that drop in the numbers, we were a little bit over personnel, I can say. And so with some retirements, we've made some attritions there. We've not replaced some people. The new people that we have brought in are positions that we had to fill, to make sure our students could be successful. And, class size is changing. This coming year, the class size is changing. K3 has a new model. That hurts us a little bit because I think we're going to be okay. This past year, we had to hire 2 new people to cover those class sizes. And so I think we have enough personnel in place for this coming year. The year after that, we will probably have to hire some more personnel in the K3 area. And right now we're not allotted enough positions to cover that. So
it sounds like you're able to meet the essentials and go beyond that.
we are. We're just
in this county, we tend to do a whole lot for little, which is a training ground, because I think one day we're going to have to perform the impossible with nothing at all.
right.
But that goes for all of us. And
Yeah.
when I see the school system, I just see a lot of heart there.
Yeah.
And, it's, at the end of the day, no matter, there's money here that we have to kind of spread out throughout the community for the needs, but knowing that the kids are getting the education and the type of education that they're getting because of the people that are in the school system. Unfortunately, we do have this money struggle.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, the kids are getting the very best they can for the dollars that are going into it.
They are.
I feel.
And, we, when I first got here, I came after school had already started, but, I can say from last year to this year, our test scores are rising. Our teachers are working extremely hard. Our central office personnel wears a lot of hats. And, without the local funding, we wouldn't be able to have some of the teachers that we have. We wouldn't be able to have some of the personnel we have in the central office, We just kicked off, Glade Creek just kicked off this past week. They're going to be a global school next year, bringing that into their standards that they teach out there. The year after that, Piney Creek will be becoming a global school. We're trying to offer as many opportunities for our students that we can afford to offer, Our partnership with Wilkes Community College continues to increase. The first year I was here, we had about 20, 25 students taking classes over there. We average about 125 to 150 students taking classes over there now. Our career and technical education programs, they continue to grow through Wilkes Community College. That's a really strong partnership for Allegheny County, not just the school system, but Allegheny County itself. So, we're doing a lot of things. As I said, our dropout rate, it continues to go down. Our graduation rate, it has gone up a couple years. It's kind of remained steady this year. We don't know what it's going to be this year, but we do have a lot of our kids beginning to finish through our alternative program this year. And, we've seen some dramatic changes there, which allows our students to, again, to be career and college ready, so, but.
With that, I'm going to open it up if anybody has questions or.
Just quickly, how's the construction at Phase 1 at Sparta School? Is
Part of
it,
school right now, they were a little bit behind with the weather, especially on the elevator. But we met this week, we met Tuesday, yesterday. Their projection right now is to be complete before the end of July. So once we got the students out of the building, they have really begun to roll in there. And so
Maybe when they get done, they can come down here and help with this wall so we can get the road open.
they during while school was going on, it was difficult on our students, our staff, and the construction too. But the bottom floor is almost complete. They now that students are out, they're on the second floor. Really, when we get finished, you're really going to like what you're going to see in there. It's looking good. Yeah, it really does. So,
and I'm not very versed in what a global school is.
yes. Well, it's about offering students opportunities to explore the world, along with the other standards they're learning. Like the first grade hallway will explore South America, okay, and then when they go to the second grade, they may explore Europe, and the teachers bring in information from those areas into the standards. And, since we're in the 21st century now, we thought it would be a good idea to start teaching 21st century learning in those areas. And the availability of jobs and things that we can put in their life to give them the opportunity to get to college, to get a job and improve their life. It's just a great opportunity for them. It's we should be up and running when school year starts out back, and I'd love to invite you guys out there and kind of see things, how they're going. So it's really neat. It's really neat. Yeah. You're welcome.
Anyone else? Thank you for coming.
Thank y'all.
What you do. Luck on next year. I think it'll up.
Yes, you are. Are you going to be there 28th? Okay. All right. And we've got some things with the high school. We'd like to start some of that youth leadership program.
I've had a couple reach out to me. I haven't had
Okay.
a chance to.
All right.
to
I've talked to Mr. Carter about that, so
Yeah.
we should be ready to go. And they'd love to be able to start coming to you guys, to these meetings, and maybe you guys having some meetings in their building as well.
Essentially, what we want to do is kind of get the idea out there and select a few folks to kind of plan what it is we really need to be doing, or feel like the group needs to be doing. So I'll be reaching out to some individuals in different places to hopefully sit in on that group so that we can lead it in a direction where it's going to be positive to help get our youth more exposed to some of what goes on in a place like this. Not only here, but at the state level and federal level. We need to train them up.
Look, I've worked in a couple
If
different.
we don't do anything differently and we just expect things
Yeah.
to change, then, we're just, that's the definition of insanity. And I think getting a lot of these youth, I know a lot of them are going to be like a lot of folks are out here today. It's not going to appeal to them one bit. But the ones that does, if we can get them exposed to it and they see they got some gifts and talents that they can come along and start being trained up, then they can become maybe hopefully positive contributors in areas like this in the future, or other areas as far as that goes.
Plus other systems I've worked in, I looked after a youth leadership program, and that's what we did. We explored local government, the parks and recreation, the tourism industry of it, and just tried to provide knowledge to those
Exposure.
exposure to those students, and gave them an opportunity to come to commissioners' meetings, go explore the county offices.
Cost any, we don't have to have a budget to do
Don't have to have a budget to do that. And we'll even provide transportation to get them here, so. But it's, that's a good program. I'm looking forward to getting some of that kicked off. I think it's going to go really well, so,
Thanks.
yeah.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
Chairman, just for
Yeah.
clarification, of course, we're never going to have a budget where we give the school as much money as we would like to, but in addition to the actual cash here, we are adding the second school resource officer position and not having the school contribute any to that cost. In addition, we're adding the career counselor position at Wilkes Community College. We're paying 25% of that cost. College is paying 75%, and that person will be spending majority of his or her time in the high school working with the dual enrollment students. So there's extra, we're contributing as well indirectly to the school in those two methods, as well as the roughly $50,000 increase and the $60,000 or so increase in the capital. So just want to keep that in mind.
Well, and I think it speaks to the entire community, the importance of education. We have invested a lot, and if you look at the local spending here versus other areas, now some of that you can have a conversation about how our system is set up, and it's kind of how it's spread out. If you were coming in here and building one today, you probably wouldn't build the model we have, but this is what we have, and this is what the people have preferred to maintain and keep. And with that, it comes at a little bit more cost, and with that and the local spending here versus across the state, I think as you said, we're rightfully so. We have made a contribution, and we're trying to do our best to help. Bobby, do you?
I was just, you're going to have a plus 24 on your students for this coming years, which
That's
are
proposed. That's what's
estimated.
been proposed, yeah.
Yeah. And everybody was up except for Glade Creek, and they were down about 20.
I think since Bottomley's has brought their company here into Sparta, a lot of those families have come to Sparta now and attend Sparta School. But yeah, it is down a little bit right there, and I think you'll see it, just like it dropped a little bit this year. It'll probably drop again next year, and maybe the next year after that, but I think it'll level off, and it's probably going to stay around, those figures that we have right now for a while.
I think Piney Creek is doing strong. They're at 157. Over the last 20 years, they've been around those numbers.
I haven't seen any change in that. I mean, I've seen it fluctuate, and it has fluctuated. I did see a couple of 180 numbers out there years ago. It's been a while back, but it's really maintained for the last quite a few years around the 140 to 160 range, and that's not included pre-K. We don't get any allotment from the state as far as the pre-K funds go, so we can't count them in our ADM. So our numbers out there, if we could count pre-K, would be around close to 170, I think. Isn't that right, Mr. Hall? Yeah.
I think that what the county manager what he's looking at, if I'm reading everything right, it's about rounded off to about a $50,000 increase over last year, $49,379. But you also, this year, you're going to pay off 3 debts of almost $100,000. So I think that's a big plus for you.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at 1920.
Yes, it will, yeah. And, but there again, and we are getting ready to pay off one of the activity buses, but we've got another one already ordered because we have to continually.
Kind of like ambulances for us.
It's, we get a lot of miles
We feel your
out of
pain.
them. We get a lot of wear and tear out of them, but, and that they do take a pounding during the winter months too up here. With the salt and the weather and so we.
Thankful they're not as expensive as ambulances are, but they're still not cheap, so.
Yeah.
What did I see, 50,000 somewhere for one?
That's all I had.
Okay. I may have been looking at something.
Activity bus, they usually run, depending on what size you get, they'll run between 80 and 100 and some thousand.
Oh, all right. I was probably looking at something else.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank y'all. We
Thanks.
appreciate it.
All right. Next on the list, we have Mr. Larry Adams. couple of sidekicks back there. Okay.
Okay.
I thought, Larry.
No problem.
Larry's, he's easygoing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He puts up with a whole lot. He deals with the public a whole lot.
All day long.
Bring me one? I apologize for my colleagues.
I'll make a note too.
Appreciate you coming.
Glad to be here.
Don't hold their actions against me.
Glad to be back. I think the last time was 29 minutes, and will not take that long. But we are here just to touch base with you guys again about, I think you probably already know, the $50,000 that Piney Creek Volunteer Fire Department asked for, and I think at the April 4th meeting or whatever. And just got a few highlights and things, but I did learn some really good information today, and I don't know if y'all have heard or not, but the sales tax in the county is up 9%, and which is about $50,000. I think Mike shared that a little bit ago.
Well, that was the part that's statutorily obligated to go to school capital.
Oh, we didn't hear all that part.
Excuse me.
I made me a quick note.
We're not showing all of our cards, ever.
I'm just trying to help.
So, but that was hot off the press, wasn't it?
It is, though. The ink's still wet right here. So, no, but it is good to be back, and I'll be glad to answer any questions, interrupt me anytime. Just a couple minutes. Just to refresh your memory, and I know most everybody knows of what we're up against with the construction of the fire station and the opportunity we have. And the opportunity we have is we've had a family foundation, as we spoke about before, pledge $175,000 to Piney Creek Volunteer Fire Department. One stipulation, we raise $175,000 to meet their 175. So it's a dollar for dollar. There's lots of different ways to say it and understand it, but it's a dollar for dollar matching pledge from out of the county, which is really great. If we don't do that, they will write us a check for $25,000 at the end of the 24 months, and everybody shakes hands and says we tried and goes on down life's highway, so to speak. But we're well on our way. We have currently raised $67,073.30. I did want to share that number, $67,073.30. $50,000, of course, in next year's budget would put us well over $100,000, and we have several fundraisers already planned, already lined up. Things are falling into place. Our largest one is August the 4th. It's the $3,000 drawdown. It'll be our 22nd year doing that. So if anybody would love to have a ticket, we're going to up our ticket sales this year to 500 based on the pledge, so we can help raise more money for that. So we are looking to sell. We've done 400 tickets for years. We're upping it to 500 to trying to meet that pledge. Something that hit me just a few minutes ago, the county done, and I didn't share this last time, I actually forgot. The county done an emergency services study back in 2007. That could be off just a little bit, but I think it's around 2007. And they studied all the five fire departments, rescue squad, sheriff's office, EMS, all the agencies, I think emergency management, everything in the county, to what we could improve on, what needed improvement, capital gains, various things. One of the things in that study 11 years ago was
how desperate need a fire station was in Piney Creek. The study stated that Piney Creek was on the way at that time to be one of the largest, if not the largest, residential community in Allegheny County. Now, the building stopped in 2009 and in 10, so to speak. It started in 8 or even before. So that changed the number of homes, but that's going to come back. I've seen it through the years, the big spike in home construction in the Piney Creek area, and then it slows down or stops and it comes back. So we will see that again. So at that time, we had a developer come to the fire department, was building a tremendous amount of homes. He knew the impact he was having on the community and the emergency services or needs, or the need that could arise. He approached us to buy a fire truck. We done all that. He financed it through his development for 10 years on annual payments. And that was in 07. He made the first payment in 08, and it came around 2009. The construction had stopped. The development ended up filing bankruptcy, and we as a department and a community had to step up and finish paying for the fire truck. So that put our fire station plans just completely to the side. We had $18,832 annual fire truck payments to make, and we made them for the next 9 years, and the truck is paid for, which is great. We had a lot of people, churches, groups in Piney Creek and Allegheny County. They came, brought us checks, all different amounts, that first year or two to help us get through that. And this drawdown event has been a lifesaver, and these guys can vouch for that. It helped pay for that truck. So we've sort of been through the war, so to speak, and this pledge from this family foundation has changed everything again on the uptick. The community's excited, people's excited. There's only so much money we can raise in a small community. And another thing is a $50,000 or $50,000 from Allegheny County. We're looking at a 50-year facility. It's $1,000 a year if you want to look at it in those terms. And we hope you take that into consideration. We had a fire on May the 3rd out at River Country Estates. It was in the newspaper. Fairly large home. Another home next to it. It had started to burn the log siding, and the first fire engine that got there put that house out. Basically saved that house. Probably $250,000 on the tax base. Save to the people. The first home was falling in because nobody saw it. The notification process, it was done burning before anybody saw it and caught it in. So it took a while from the time it initially started to the time the fire department got there. So that's raised a lot of awareness. We've had visitors coming. What can we do? What can we do with the fire station? What can we do with fire trucks? It's really changed the thought, how people think of the fire department right now. And we talked about Gatlinburg, and we have a mini Gatlinburg. We don't have the restaurants and all the show places and stuff, but we have homes like you wouldn't believe. And we'll continue those homes will continue to grow. So we have to prepare for that. And that's what we're trying to do with the fire station, and I think you can remember the skills we have getting the trucks in and out of the building from the last presentation. But be glad to answer any questions. But one thing that I'm going to say, that we as a department feel like this fire station is the most needed facility in Allegheny County. Now, there may be another group that says that same thing, but at the end of the day, when you look where we're at, the conditions we're in, then the opportunity we have with the pledge to improve that. But if you'll take those words into consideration when you're finishing up the budget, we feel like the Piney Creek Fire Station is the most needed facility in Allegheny County. So with that being said, I'll answer any questions.
I have a question, a couple questions.
Okay.
Do you have any debt?
We have no debt at this time. Since we paid off the tanker
Yeah.
from the donated tanker, as we
Yeah.
call it, and not sounding derogatory or whatever, but
Right.
we have no debt at this time. We were debt-free about 18 months ago, I think.
Next question is this. Let's say you're able to put this project together and you were able to build it without any county funds. And you're able to raise the money and complete it. And when you get done, another fire department comes to us in 2 or 3 years after that, and they need a building addition or something. And we propose and help put money to them for that project. How would you feel about that? You see the predicament that I mean, I want to do it. I like to help. I personally, I need help. How do we haven't been able to do this in the past. I don't know that we've been asked really to do something like this since I've been a commissioner. But if we do this, how do we go forward, and what are we going to do with a relationship with the other fire departments in the county? I need some help with that because that's going to be a challenge. I don't know where everybody is on this, their position with this, but I want to help. But at the same time, I think we have to be very careful on how we do it so that we don't hurt relations with the other fire departments. Everyone is equally as important. Now, your statement about the need with your building up here, I don't see anyone else having that kind of a need with their fire departments. However, Laurel Springs just completed one. I don't know what their financial situation is. Others probably do. But what do we do with that? Well, if you were sitting here with one of us, how would you approach that? How would you message that? Because, I think as much of you in your position and all of your people as I do every other fire person that's out here serving. And to me, that's a predicament, and I just need help with that. How would you feel if that happened, if you were, say, let's go to one that's just happened, Laurel Springs. Now, I know they serve a little bit outside the county, but they didn't get any county funds.
Right.
If you were them, and we fund you for this one, how would you feel? What would you do? I know at the end of the day, I think we could all put our big boy pants on and get over it. I would hope
Absolutely.
so. But, how do we handle that? How would you feel about it?
To answer the question about Laurel Springs, great department, great guys. At this point in time, what you're asking me right now, they didn't ask. They could have come asked. Maybe they had the money, maybe they borrowed the money. I don't know. I don't know their financial situation either. But I do understand the predicament. But we have matching money. There could be something if somebody's, I'm sure it needs to be a limit. I spoke with a department in Baltimore County, Maryland. I'm talking to so many people, lose track. Last couple of days, and it's a totally different area, I understand. But they just received a new pumper, $625,000. He says the county buys our trucks, no questions asked. We don't fundraise. We
Get their number?
He said we don't fundraise. We commit volunteers to answering the calls and serving the public. The county funds all that.
A full volunteer?
They're fully volunteer.
Okay.
Yes, there probably, and to answer your question, Mark, there probably needs to be a limit. Yeah, you wouldn't want somebody coming in, and it could. I mean, we could be asking for, you know, at the end of the day, right now, and there's more things falling in place. We're still going to have to borrow $300,000+ to complete the entire fire station with the community room and kitchen and bathrooms. We were working on phase 1, phase 2. So, yeah, there needs to be some kind of something. And yes, it would open up the door for other agencies to come and ask for money. Our advantage is it's matching money from out of the county. That $50,000 that we're speaking about would mean $100,000 to Piney Creek.
Not just Piney Creek, but the whole, Piney Creek serves other districts when there's a big fire.
That's correct.
So, I mean, it's just not Piney Creek. And if we look at, you know, sometimes you have to look at individual situations. And I don't want to lose $100,000, you know, but that money's already been put in the bank.
The $175,000 from the Family Foundation
So if
is
the housing
in a
market
bank
goes
here
down
in
like
town.
it did before, that money is still secured if you raise enough money.
The quicker we can raise the money, if we raise the money tomorrow, if somebody comes and writes us a check for the remainder of this amount, the money here in a local bank will be transferred that day or the following day. We will have that pledge money within 48 hours.
Well, I look back at what the fire departments have asked for in the past, and it's been very close to the same year after year. This circumstance for Piney Creek has arisen because you were given this, you have the opportunity to match a lot of the money. I would look forward to, if we gave 25 this year, 25 next year, the third year, you would be back to a normal request.
That's correct, Bob. Yes. Yes, this is a one-time, we're not coming every year, that's correct, asking for $50,000. This is a one-time.
When did this 2 years period start?
January 1st, 2018.
Okay.
It ends December 19 for the 24-month window.
Anybody else?
Well, whenever I got your email requesting your support on this, I went to your fellow chiefs, with the exception of one, and that was Cherry Lane, because I couldn't get a hold of that chief, and I talked to the fire departments. The reaction that they had was one of two. You giving it to them, we expect to have a check for $50,000 in our post office box. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. I had another comment where you're going to tax my county people and take that money and give it to Piney Creek. We have needs too.
Was that one comment?
That was two comments out of the four that I spoke with. So you can see our quandary. Now, as far as the match, the quandary that I have is if we keep this up, we're going to go broke saving money. It's like going shopping at Itaewon. We've got other areas where they can get matching grants. We've got to kick in some money. We're going to be cussing and discussing over these here in a few minutes if we get into these special appropriations. So Mark's correct. We've got a quandary here because the other departments, if you're going to give him money, we want money too. And there's just not that much money in the kitty right now.
Nobody else has asked for it except Glade Creek. I mean, they just went off the scale.
Glade Creek asked for $130,000 this year. We're giving them the same thing that they got year before.
I've never seen them ask for that big of an increase. I don't, I mean, I have no idea what they're gonna do with that kind of an increase. I just look back at the history that we've been fairly equal to everybody within a few $1,000s. This is just an unusual circumstance.
It is. Now, I'm assuming those other fire departments are not building a fire station.
No, but
Okay.
you know, I think this is a golden opportunity to discuss a fire tax for Allegheny County. Since we want to give you the money, let's raise it. Let's do the fire tax. We can do that. That way, you would have the opportunity of purchasing, you going out and getting a bank loan because you're going to have guaranteed funds coming in if we have a fire tax in Piney Creek District. That, I believe that's the main problem that you've got right now. You can't go out and borrow the funds because you have no guaranteed income coming in.
Yeah, we've, based on our donations in county funding, you know, just speaking with one bank, they said about $300,000 was their max loan, yeah. I mean, they want to be paid back. They're a business, they have to operate, but.
Oh, yeah,
But-
and they want to make a little bit of profit also. The thing about whenever you have to come to the county and get money through the budget, if we say no, and we can do that, I
Absolutely.
mean, this year, the total outlay of the county is almost $429,000, I believe, whenever we go into fire commission to various departments. That's about 2.5%, 2.5 of the 3.5%
Yeah.
that we are having to raise on property taxes. And
There's 2.56 already in there for
Right.
fire departments. You're not raising that, it's already in there.
well, it's already in there. Basically, it's there where we are funding that. But if we
Correct.
went with the fire tax, then that would roll back on you because you would have the income coming in.
Correct.
So there's a number of ways to look at this, but,
Yeah.
you know, I can't show favoritism by giving one department something that the others can't receive. And we haven't got the money to dole out 25,000 to each department this year to make it equal. It's kind of like Solomon, really. So,
Now, my response, and just quickly, would be, you know, I don't know of another departments that building a fire station, and I don't know any other departments that have matching opportunity to double or match their money. So,
the
you know,
difference is they don't have someone that's come that would have a matching on that. Glade Creek did build, well, it was an old fire station that the school gave back to them, but they completely redid that. But that was volunteer work, and they went out and raised the money, so they have expanded their operation.
Correct.
But, you know, this is kind of like children. If one gets 9 marbles and the other one gets 7, somebody's going to be complaining.
There's also another tax available, the quarter-cent sales tax. If it would have passed 3 years ago, we had already been up roughly 300,000, maybe a little bit more. There's been some discussion. I'd like to see the quarter-cent sales tax back on the ballot and earmark that money for schools and fire departments.
most people, excuse me, most people don't understand the sales tax. They don't. I've had numerous conversations with people. I asked them if they go to Walmart in Ice County. Yes. Well, they're paying 7%. So, do you go to Walmart in Elkin? Yeah, they're paying 7%. They don't know that they're paying 7% when they go out of the county, and they're paying 6 3/4 here. I think just the general public does not understand that they're when they go out of the county, they're paying a higher sales tax rate.
In and around.
Yeah, at all the
counties,
outlying
yeah.
counties is receiving all those sales tax dollars, and I agree, 1/4% would make a huge difference in y'all's planning and budgeting stuff.
Your wants are valid. You need a firehouse. I'm not saying you don't need a firehouse. You don't need I'm not saying you don't need the improvements. Lord knows you do. But it's just the quandary that the board has with this. And as far as economics with the local population, people will drive to Galax to get something that they could get in Sparta, and if you tell them it's going to cost them 52 cents a mile to go to Galax to get it to save $1, they're spending $20 to save $1, and we've got businesses closing up in Sparta. Economic ignorance is unbelievable, and we aren't going to get anywhere around that. I like the quarter-cent sales tax so that whenever we do have something going on in here and a visitor stops and gets a six-pack of beer, we can hit him for a quarter cent of some tax money.
And one of the beers.
And I can't say that. I was raised Methodist, but I turned Catholic, but yeah, I'd take a beer.
It creates more need for the EMS and fire departments.
Yeah.
Taxes the services.
You're the most underappreciated people around here, really. I mean, you get out at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's 20 degrees below zero and the wind blowing, you're fighting a fire. And
Well, they're fighting to get
that's
the
it.
truck out of the building first.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I don't think it's too much of a fight to get it out. Getting it back in is a bear.
They got to be very careful. Any other comments or questions? Different ones? Tom? Good. Larry, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I'm pulling for you. I think, hope we can figure out a way to help you. I do have one other question. It's not really directly for you, but we currently, the fire departments here currently receive a grant. And I never have fully been educated or understood exactly. It's my understanding that if we give too much money, that grant would be lost.
Well, a 1-to-1 match
To
would
go
be
to
lost,
1-to-1
yeah.
match instead of a 2-to-1.
Okay. So if we, but essentially, right now, we're currently given the maximum amount without starting to lose some of that.
Basically,
So
yeah.
we would have to supplant, in order for them not to lose any of that, we would have to supplant what's lost.
Right, these numbers,
Possibly.
these numbers here would have to rise up into, and I've not put a calculator to it, but up in the 60s to offset that matching.
15,000.
If I remember right, we match 15,000 to get 45,000.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I was thinking 15.
Match, for most of the departments, we match 15 to get 30.
Right,
That's correct.
2-to-1. So that's the way they can get 45,000, 15 from the county and 30 from the grant. But last year, Cherry Lane didn't get the money.
Correct.
We'll give that to them.
That was based on,
Let me write that down.
that,
It's on tape.
Okay.
We were taping it.
Now, when I say "we," that's me, myself, and I, until we vote. So I
We-
don't
we-
represent anybody
it doesn't
else
matter to
until the vote.
So who you got in your pocket?
They didn't give it to me to give to anybody.
Well, pray for me.
You're
to
100
win.
and, I understand it, I think you're about $108,000 away, roughly,
Yes,
from your 175.
that's correct. As of, yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Any other thoughts? Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. I admire you for what you do. It's a hard job, and I know your phones are ringing and people's pulling on your shirt
It's the
sleeves.
fire departments right now. But for good cause. We do
Absolutely.
really,
Absolutely.
you know, it is, a lot of people don't realize, like here, until they get in here, kind of realize what we've asked for. But you all, a lot of y'all go into that with your eyes wide open. That's your heart, that's your life, and that's what you do. And you don't do it for the money. But at the end of the day, you have to have a life in there somewhere and balance all of that stuff out. And, we would, our general population, our homeowners out here, without volunteer fire departments, would be paying a whole lot more.
Oh,
And
it's,
homeowners insurance, at least double, give or take a little bit. And they would not enjoy doing that.
Takes a special person to run into a burning building.
Well,
We appreciate it.
thank you.
And if I win the lottery and there's enough money there, I'll build your doggone building.
Let me write that down too, right here.
It's on tape, too.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
But I gotta win the lottery.
And I've heard there's, the statistics is it's twice, the chances of getting struck by lightning are twice the chances of actually winning the lottery on your way to buy the lottery ticket and back, so.
But you don't
Be
know-
careful buying it. I ain't
You
going
don't
with you.
understand. I've got millions of people praying that I win the lottery because they know if I win something, Hades is froze over.
Well, maybe they all hadn't wrote it down.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do, gents. God bless you.
Yeah, we need to take a vote.
Is that what we're calling it?
Did I hear my name?
We're gonna take a 10-minute recess,
That's a giddy crowd.
a Tom 10.
A letter from the VA, I'm official.
reorganize here and reconvene. We've been all over the place, ain't we? Time to focus a little bit. We got some work, we got a lot of work really to do. Let's go to whatever page special appropriations is. Let's turn there. Somebody help me out on a page. 35.
Yep.
35 in the little book.
35.
Yeah. But before we get into there, the last thing we talked about, or one of the things we talked about was social services. Which is 2 or 3 pages in front of that, I think.
Is.
Public assistance, page 31.
This line item, about 2/3 of that money is foster care for our foster children.
How many have we got now?
We're down a little. We've had 3 adopted, and we've got 3 in queue to be adopted, so we're down 6, really. That's where the slowdown in spending has taken place the last couple of months.
Which line is that, Mike? I'm sorry. Is that?
10-612-050, public assistance.
Second down.
Oh, okay.
When we
Okay.
started the
I
budget
got it.
process back in March, we were thinking we were going to do 900 and 950 for the year. Turns out we're going to be under 800,000 probably for the year. a
Around
little under
760 is
800,000.
where it's tracking, looks
Yeah.
like right now.
Yeah.
Unless something takes a sharp turn.
I'm not comfortable going, drop it 100 to 890. I'm not comfortable going any lower than that. We're one big drug roundup away from adding 8 or 10
Amen.
foster kids overnight.
Amen.
And that's about 2/3 of the money is foster care for our children, the ones that are, aren't in a home somewhere.
Do you feel comfortable reducing that to 900K?
Yeah, either way, it's not going to make much difference, 900 or 890, either way. Of course, that would clear up, we went down to 890, that's another 35 or 40,000 it clears up, because we have to reduce our reimbursement as well. We wouldn't be getting as much money back. So it's another 35 or 40K, something like that. I would be hesitant to go much below that.
One thing, the way this has been tracking over the last 3, 4, 5 years, this number has been running around 500,000, 500, upper 500s to upper 400s, so from low 5 to high 5. And then it took a sharp, steep incline,
yeah.
and we all have seen the reason for that. So I mean, there's a lot built in here. It's just how much more is it gonna go? We really don't know. We're taking a kind of an educated guess, but I would be inclined to think that it's probably not going down.
No.
It's probably gonna continue to go north before it levels off and goes back down. So we do need the capacity, I think, to absorb some more increase. I hope we don't have it, but if we have the increase and don't have the budget for it, then we're gonna have to figure out a way to, it's up to us, we'll have to meet the demand, whatever it ends up being, so.
6 foster children that are getting adopted, we get $7,000, it's not the right term, but bonus from the state for each of those. So we'll get $42,000. It's kind of like the drug money. We can only spend that on adoption assistance issues, but that's going to be nice as well. When the other 3 get adopted, we'll have $42,000 coming in, so.
But currently, we're tracking about 760, so if you insured that up 100,000, that's 860. So I'm comfortable somewhere in that neighborhood I don't know what y'all
Somewhere between
wanna do.
850 and 900,000 is probably the right number.
And I had extensive, long conversations today with Lisa Osborne. We ran several different scenarios. I pulled the research for the last several years, and she was doing the same as well. And the only caveat that she asked that I would just make sure that the board is aware that, drop it down to 850, 890, whatever number, the board would like to, in that area that, with the understanding, if she ends up with, an influx of needs here and this is not enough money, that she'll be back at the podium asking for additional monies sometime
Understood.
throughout the year.
Understood.
With that in mind, where are we, where's the consensus at for any
I would-
recommendations?
Well, I'm comfortable,
Nine. Have
I'm
one
comfortable
900.
with 900,000, because
Straight
Like-
900?
900,000, because one drug bust. We had that one drug bust, we put four in
Picked
the
up 8 or
pocket.
9 kids one weekend, I
Yeah.
remember, back in the winter.
One
so.
family was 4 in foster care. So we could eat through that real quick. And with the opioid beginning to show its head, I'm
900 instead of 990.
Right.
yeah.
Tom,
And that would net us about-
What's your thoughts?
I would be comfortable personally with somewhere in the neighborhood of 860.
What do you feel? Like the 900 or 990?
Based on the numbers that I'm seeing, I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of 850 to 890. Based on the research that I've done the last couple of days over this, and that's where the numbers are tracking now, and that leaves room for more for next year. Because like Mark said, we're along about 760.
875 is kind of a middle ground.
875 is a-
875
I
is
could,
kind of a middle
I
ground.
could go with 875.
875?
I could go with that.
We got 4 that's on board with 875.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
875.
just so I know, if we did this, are you talking about it freeing up, did you say somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000?
30. I heard 30.
I heard 50.
Well, the number was kind of all around the place. So.
When Lisa and I ran some of the revenue numbers, and at the 890 scenario, we were looking about a $50,000 decrease. That just kind of gives you a ballpark, but by all means, we'll,
Little
That was
less.
at
Yeah, her too.
890, so
so
40.
probably around, yeah.
45?
40, 45s.
Mhm.
40, 45. Like an auction going.
So around 45,
And I'll work with
Yeah.
Lisa and get the updated revenue numbers there.
okay.
Yeah, we had thought it was going to be, make that 1,896 somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,825. So I'm just going to go ahead and change it to that for right now. That may vary $5,000 one way or the other. So it puts-
We're good with that.
I am.
I think so.
All in favor, just make no mistake, saying aye for
Aye.
875? Okay, thank you. I mean, we don't really have to take an official vote, we'll do that all at the end, so.
Well, Mr. Chairman, also, we had discussed, a number from the TDA, I know it was late last night.
Well, that
Why did I
number,
have
that
that?
discussion was basically, instead of the 80,000 coming to our general fund and then having to get transferred over to the TDA fund, it's just gonna bypass the general fund and go straight to the TDA fund.
that's
So
a-
it won't show up on our budget here, it'll show up, it'll,
It's not showing up on this.
well, it's
on-
current,
It
it's
is on
in
your
there.
printout there?
Yeah, what
On
I've
our
got on the
printout.
screen is
Yeah.
not showing up, yeah.
But basically, our total budget would be reduced by that 80,000.
Our total budget would be reduced by 80,000.
So there's 80,000 less in revenue, 80,000 less in expenditure.
So it's a wash.
There's not we're not gaining on expenses over revenue, it's an even move.
The only other thing I'm trying to remember from last night was the insurance adjustments. Did we talk about that? I've got it written down. Was that,
Adjustment.
that's what I'm trying to remember. It was toward the end. Did that come up?
Oh, yes, the
Did we free up some money somehow?
yes,
through
that was about $7,600, yeah.
7,600.
That was
And what
the
was that for?
flexible spending account reimbursement. Yeah,
FSA.
It was part of the insurance
yes.
adjustments.
Okay.
Yes. Right here, the FSA, $8,400. Went from 11,700 down to 3,300.
That was, there wasn't as many people elected to go with that option.
I knew it wouldn't be everybody. 11,700 was everybody doing
Did I
it.
get my paperwork turned back in today? Well, I'm gonna fire my assistant then. I didn't hire her, I married her, so I don't guess I can do that. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't advise
Hey,
it.
not
It's
while I was
very
there.
expensive.
Well, that's the reason we're still married, door to door. That's our joke, so. All right.
What that puts us is, this board we've reduced we're $169,000 better off than when we first started. Now, I didn't add anything in from last night. That's still everything everybody that came to speak last night, there's been no increases there.
Right, no, thank you.
Or the folks that spoke tonight, no, nothing has been added there. But we're 169,000 to the positive right now.
Let's keep going. Can we get that number bigger?
We're trying.
So, while we're kind of, any other things that anybody's got noted that we've discussed?
Yeah.
Before we get into the special appropriations?
Yep, but, one thing from last night's discussion, I didn't ask this question, probably should have, actually, it didn't occur to me, but Mr. Brady, does this program last through the Try-Me, whatever the name of that program, does it last throughout a
Y-Try.
school, Y-Try, or is it just the summer? Isn't Mr. Brady,
It's just like a 2-week summer program, that's it.
it's
Like
2 weeks?
I believe.
2 weeks?
Yeah, or 3. It's no more than 3, because they just started and it's wrapping up next week.
Okay, so
It's like a 3, it's like vacation Bible school, kind of. It's like 2 or 3 weeks in the summer, and that's all that it is, so.
And
I actually think it's 1 week.
It may just
1
be-
week?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not long. Well, I know they were here this week, and they talked about them coming back next week, they said last night.
Maybe
so.
it's 2,
I
but
think,
maybe
because remember Deborah Jean had sent them home with food, so they'd be, for coming back next week, so. I think it's 2 weeks, something like that.
that was $23,000
Before,
for 1 week?
24.5.
I mean, is that what we're really talking about here? Okay. Thank you.
Well, and I was a little disheartened to see that, because what they're doing this week, I thought, and I could be wrong, I didn't think was at that kind of a price tag. So I'm not really comfortable with that kind of a price tag for a week, based off of what I understand so far.
How much was it?
It was $23,040.
Well, that's actually,
23,040 is what the proposal was from last night for a site coordinator, which is the Try-Me program,
Yeah.
right?
no,
24,582, right? Yeah, 24,582.
There's something different here on mine.
Go to, Tom, on the second page.
actually, if you look at that
Second page of what they
Y-Try,
gave us
and
last
you look
night.
all the way to the right, the total is 30,000.
30,000, yeah.
You're on the second page.
Second page.
Y-Try, line 1.
Oh,
You see county,
and
and then in-kind, total, all the way to the right.
A 1 week program,
On this one?
Yeah.
$30,000? Okay,
This is above and beyond what they had last year.
yes.
Yeah, this is different.
Yes, that's correct. They had a program get canceled this year, and they had money to pay for it. They replaced the canceled program with the Y-Try, so they don't have enough money for next year to do the Y-Try again.
I'm not in
Is
favor.
anybody in favor of making that investment?
I
For a week?
don't think so. No,
Okay.
no.
So we have no movement, right? No,
And I was a little concerned on that presentation too, and it's about the kids' eating program. It's fun closet.
Is that the backpack program, Larry?
Summer feeding, so money coming out of.
Just for full disclosure, I'm on that board, so I'm not stating an opinion one way or the other, so.
Just have to
Accept that.
explain it.
This one's a no.
Mark's on the board too, so he can explain it.
Running out of space.
Well,
I don't doubt
we were
that it's,
sitting at a meeting, and this was brought up, and it was discussed, and I remember something like
The price
12 or-
tag.
12 or 15,000.
Yeah, price tag was
From that meeting
not what I remember.
to this request, it's not kosher. I don't know what happened. I'm sure there's a good explanation, but
Must have thought they were getting some of it matched or something like
I
that,
don't know.
I guess.
But I mean, you know, for a summer program for 15 kids, I might, you know, give it a lot different look. But
when you compare it to this Project Challenge, which is all school year.
Oh, yeah.
This lady's up and
Yeah.
all over the county.
Right.
I mean, that's only $8,000
Right.
more than what they're asking for 1 week.
We're not going to be able to offer that program without some assistance from somebody else paying for it, you know.
There's another item that, from last night, this Linda Hash, soil and water. We need to go ahead and probably
Now,
have that conversation.
I am in agreement. The vast economic engine that we have in this county is agriculture. I believe it's a reasonable request, and I would support it. I'm thinking we're looking at 24,000?
No.
50.
About
45.
45,000.
And she's making, the request she's making, the grade level she's making the request for, that's my first problem, is it doesn't fit with with the job description, doesn't fit there in that
Too high,
request.
too low.
It's too high.
Yeah, April had graded it as a
She'd
62.
requested it at a 66.
Our human
and it's
resources
more-
Yeah,
person.
April graded it at a
April?
62.
Yes,
Yeah.
it should be more equivalent to a 62 compared to what our job descriptions are.
The 45,000 number that Mike was referring to is based on a 62.
Yeah.
Okay.
What they're asking for would be $4,000 or $5,000 more,
Yeah.
something like that.
The other thing I would comment about that is there's a new person in there who has I think the capability with a little bit of time because Linda's, well, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of retirement, 1 to 5
Eligible to
years.
retire
Yeah.
now, yeah.
And she had wanted to until there was some personnel changes there. And one of the challenges that they have is a lot of things are changing and they're having to be retrained and whatnot, and it's easier for the younger people to learn some of the new programming. And I think that Maggie will pick up on that and will be a great asset there in this. And I would love to give her her first year to train in that position and see if she can't bring more to the table than probably Linda thinks that she might be able to. And I could be wrong, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it.
I think with Linda is a wealth of knowledge. The longer she stays, the more she can help her. I don't think, it's not a position you can just come into. I don't even know if a year's enough training. I hope Linda will be there longer than a year. But it's, I've been through 3 or 4 of those different programs, and it's literally you spend hours signing documents, and she has to get them approved and reapproved. There's a lot more to it than people think, and Linda does have that 25 or 30 years experience. I just don't look forward to the day that she leaves. I mean, there's a lot of money that comes into this county because of the programs that she goes out and implements and tries to get people that are qualified. You You don't go in there and say, I want the program. You have to be pre-qualified. And it takes, a lot of times, it takes several years to get qualified for a program.
I don't think we're saying we're gonna run her off. I think we're saying to get a candidate could possibly fill her shoes sometime.
No, no.
Let me ask then, if this was approved and if it was offered at a 62, instead of 45,000 in round numbers, what would we be?
45,000 is at 62. It
I
would have
thought it
been-
was 66.
Would have been 48 or 49,000 at 66.
And that's, with
My
insurance.
question got
Yeah.
mixed up.
And all.
Now, I had, as I started working on the budget, I don't know, late April, I had told April, late April the month, I had told April the person that this position was not going to make the cut. And so she had stopped working on the job description and all that kind of thing. So this is not, we can't hire this position July 1st. It would be at 60 or 90 days to be ready to hire this position. So just so you know, I mean, we'll put the full amount in the budget, but we're not going to wind up paying 12 months of that salary. There's no way we'll get it done that quickly, so.
I'm comfortable offering it at a 62.
With that, I don't know.
So our plan is to just go one by one?
Well, with this one, I mean, since we're here.
With this one.
Yeah, let's go
We
ahead.
aren't in special appropriations yet.
I mean, can we, when we're discussing, let's try to find a consensus here. Are we want to move forward with this, or I think I hear two
Two.
affirmatives, but not settled on pay grade?
I think it's a position that would probably be an asset to that department. I really do. And to tell you the truth, I'd like to see it added.
Put in a second employee.
Yes, this technical person
To make
that
three.
Linda was talking about, at a grade 62.
Which will make 3 people, 3 full-time.
There's enough people in the county that could use that position.
Well, let me ask this question a little bit differently. Are there anyone not benefiting, or is anyone losing that are not getting services currently that we're aware of, or are we missing out on any opportunities that are not being able to be provided because there's not this third person? Is anybody aware of that?
I think you'd have to go back and look at the people that are, you get qualified on a list. I'm just going to use a scale of 1 to 10. It may be a different scale. The people that reach the 10 mark are eligible for some of the programs. The people that hit a 5 or 6 mark may not be eligible, depending on how many people applied for that program. So if there's another person there, they may be able to go out and try to help that person re-qualify to a higher level.
I was thinking she said last night that more could have been qualified.
I'm confident in a typical year, we'll have more people qualify. Now, I can't specifically point that Bill Smith would have made it this year if we had that extra person and he didn't. I can't point to that specific, but it's kind of like when we made the veteran service officer full-time. We're seeing a lot more people qualifying for VA benefits and getting back pay now. But Kenneth didn't make them eligible. They were already eligible. He
Right.
just helped them with navigating the paperwork. Same with these farmers. You can do this program without this other person, but it's a heck of a lot easier path of least resistance if we have this person to help guide them through the process.
I believe she also said that they were coming up with new programs, retraining, so they need someone up there to handle the workload while the others are being retrained anyway. Is my recollection.
I think we hear at least 3 that are in favor of doing it.
I think if we can find the money, it's a benefit to the county, if we can find the money. And it was about 4 or 5 years, no, it's more, it was about 5 years ago, Allegheny was not getting percentage-wise what you looked at in Ashe and Surrey County. And we got some additional help from a Greg Wagoner who works USDA out of Ashe County. He was able to come here a few days out of the week, and we increased the programs that we got. The biggest thing is clean water. That's a really big thing that they're after, is keeping animals out of the creek, restoring creeks that have washed away the banks of the sediment. If you ever go down to Brush Creek and look at Francis Huber or Jim Becker's, that project, it was amazing what they did. And they wound up using prisoners to replant a lot of the, not our prisoners, but state prisoners to
So-
replant a lot
So
of the
what's your position? You want to add it? You in favor of it?
If we can find the money, I would like to see, I think it's a benefit to the county. Yes.
Okay, I kind of need a one way or the other. So it makes us a 4-1. Currently, I'm not that far along with it yet, but that's enough to get what we need to put it in there. So, I mean,
If there-
and I'm, you know, I support the board. Whenever we get done, we'll have a budget here that, but I'm not fully there yet, so, but I'm good with it.
If there's conversations on which grade, 66, as Linda recommended or requested, and then April's recommendation of a 62, I would like to ask that April be allotted an opportunity to come and explain why she settled on a 62.
Well, I think that there needs to be some work there done, and then she kind of presents that position, or Mike does, or somebody, whenever it's time, so that we kind of know what's coming. All right, that takes care of that one. Now, I think we're to special appropriations. I can't think of anything else outside that we've discussed that's hanging. Anybody else?
Now, under special appropriations, is Loomis there? Where is Loomis?
No,
That's under the finance
That's-
office.
Loomis
Yeah.
is in finance.
yeah,
And that's already in there. We've added that
yeah,
after the discussion the other night.
we discussed that, and there was, I think it was 4 in favor, 4-1, to go ahead and do
Okay,
that.
I was against you.
Right, yeah.
I just think that the sheriff's department or the town police could provide the same service, with some coordination, between those two agencies, but that's me.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Before we we'll just take this line by line, I guess, going down to special appropriations, and some of them will go quicker than others. Everybody take a deep breath.
Not gonna get
Of course, the bank fees, there's not much we can discuss there. The capital loan, not much we can do there.
No, that was buying 2 vehicles. That's why we had 2 county vehicles there. I just stuck it in that line. There wasn't really a better place to put it, so. Reason it was 60,000, we had basically 3 departments that really need a vehicle. I figured we'd get 2 of them. That's tax, that was emergency management, and that was building inspector. The emergency management vehicle was going to be more. It was going to be about 35,000. The other 2 at 25,000. I had Joey and Josh got all 3 vehicles up on the rack, gave them a very thorough inspection and had ranked them for me. They had ranked, said that tax was the one that could wait until next year. And then subsequently, the tax vehicle blew up. so-
Well, that's the thing, but I think I'm okay with monies for vehicles, as some of them are in pretty rough shape. Any other
Rough
thoughts?
shape, some of them
Well, I
are
know.
about as old
You
as
could-
me.
Anybody
Crank
else?
them on the outside,
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Tom?
I'm perfectly fine with it.
That 60,000 is for vehicles, new vehicles somewhere, wherever you deem necessary, okay? Regional library,
Are, on the vehicles, are those new ones? Or are they used or
Most likely be new vehicles, yes.
be used
New, most likely they will be new
at
vehicles.
30,000 apiece?
Well, again, it depends which ones. With the emergency management vehicle would be about 35,000. I had 25,000 budgeted for the other one.
Now, that's for a car, a sedan,
Well, emergency management has to have the big truck, the big four-wheel drive truck. He has to be able to go anywhere in the county in any weather condition. So it's a more, and it has a lot of equipment on it. It's a more expensive vehicle. And of course, the building inspector and tax, we like to have four-wheel drives for those. Again, they have to get everywhere. So construction sites get muddy and snowy and everything else, so.
you don't think there's a buy-in looking at Skyline Telephone when they sell theirs, or DOT when they sell theirs?
they usually sell them for a reason.
Yeah.
They wear them out. We don't want to buy something that's already wore out.
I mean, we can buy a new one to last 5 or 6 years, or pay half the price for one to last 2 or 3 years. It's about the same difference, one way or the other.
You just look around, when DOT has a sale, there's umpteen yellow vehicles sold in this county, and they still on the road. Yeah, but that's all right.
Library,
I think the reason for the increase in the library was, if I remember right from the regional folks, it was a 1% cost of living and some insurance issues.
Yeah. I tried to get them into the in-chip pool, but they weren't eligible as a
They were not,
library,
and they have
unfortunately, so.
also tried to get into, they've tried to start their own pool of libraries throughout the state, and
I
the
watched
only
it-
reason I said anything about that, I am on that board, and it is a cost that all the regional counties have felt.
I watched the Ashe County meeting the other night. That's a different library, but
It
they were
is.
having a substantial increase in their funding request for the same reasons, primarily was
I
health
think-
insurance,
I think that's.
which is killing everybody right
Right.
now.
I think they've kept it down pretty well considering the issues they had.
It's a heck of a bargain. I mean, I know we've got a $30,000 loan payment as well and some utilities, but that's a heck of a bargain.
No objection to that one.
good there. The Health District, Appalachian District Health,
Now, they requested an increase, is this the portion where they requested the increase to make up for their reserves?
their 3-year plan that they
Yeah.
presented.
Now, they've
It's-
been milking their reserve quite heavily the last several years, and they're about 5 years away from being out of
Does
reserve.
this include that money?
Yes.
Yes.
The 193
Yes.
Yeah.
includes that money, so
Yes.
we are beginning to reimburse their reserve fund.
We'll get them back to even, but it's not using
Okay.
any reserve. We
They
won't be
aren't-
replenishing
they
it, we'll
aren't
just
bleeding.
stop them from using it, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Because health department goes bankrupt, we still have to provide almost every service that they
Yeah.
provide, whether they're in business or not. So it's much cheaper
Let's keep
to,
them solvent.
it would cost us 5 times as much to provide those services.
We could never do it ourselves, a county this size.
No, it costs 5 times this amount at least.
But my question is, what percentage is Ash going up, and what percentage is Watauga going up?
The same percentage.
How many?
The same percentage. The dollar amount, it was like 80,000 in Ash and 100 and something in Watauga.
We had,
Well,
It's the same
we're the
percentage.
smallest of the three. Why should the percentage?
Percentage.
Yeah.
it's the same percentage.
They are paying more
Each county.
money.
We're paying a proportional share
Okay.
of the increase, yeah.
Proportionally.
Yeah.
I sit on the board and they do some wonderful things, but that's a big increase. A big increase.
But I think I'm okay with it.
I'm okay.
I'm okay with it.
Tom, what's your
Yes, I
thoughts? You good?
talked
Okay.
when they presented that
Yeah.
idea, and I
Well,
think
like I
we're-
said, I think what they do and what they offer, and then if they couldn't offer it, it would definitely be at a lot bigger price tag than this for us to try to do it. So this is a win for the county to be able to have this opportunity to invest a few more dollars. That's the way I look at it.
I don't think we could be our own health department for less than $1 million.
No.
And then you have to find a board of directors that meets the qualifications for the health department, and I don't think we could find those people in Allegheny County.
No, we would still have to inspect restaurants, we would still have to inspect septic tanks, we would still have to provide immunizations, whether App Health is in business or not, so, among
Good.
many other
Same
things
for
they
it.
do.
All right, we got it there.
All right, let's
Let's, mental health.
I have no objections.
I'm gonna need that.
We may need to increase it a
Yeah,
little.
we'll have
for
to increase that funding after tonight.
you. Brock,
No problem.
Council on Aging.
They've remained the same.
Council on Aging's always run a good, tight budget. They're very efficient with what they do.
Well, we do have, but we are putting about $10,000 into the building as well, which
Right.
is not in this line,
Right.
so.
All right, Arts Council. There was a request of 6, manager recommended 3. What is the pleasure of the board?
I'm okay with 3.
I'd like to zero it.
3 and a 0,
I would like to see it reinstated to 6.
6.
What?
I said I would like to see it reinstated to 6.
I would like to see it reinstated to 6 also, with a caveat to them for next year that they're looking at a reduction of $2,000 or maybe $3,000. I just don't think that it's right to have supported them all these years and then just like that, cut them off or cut them in half. So I would like to
Six.
see the 6
Okay,
We
with
did
the
that to the
caveat
wellness
of
center last year.
a possible cut.
okay. Well, and I'm there too. I'm okay with the 6 that they requested, which would make it a 3-2. That's right.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, the-
Yep, you win election, you can.
Just for the fact, the town gave the Arts Council half.
You heard.
Yeah, we heard that last night, actually.
Chamber,
I just need a why.
well, I would answer that. They didn't make a request.
Okay.
The reason they did make a request, going through transition and leadership there, we've got a new leader, director, which is going to turn the thing around. They felt like, prove themselves and come back and ask for money. But they felt like that they will, 5,000 wouldn't have. They're getting on the right tracks. We'll be asking next year, though.
We'll leave that at 0.
0's fine with me.
Evaluation.
Transfer to reval fund.
No questions, I'm supportive.
We do want a reval when it comes to time. Sparta Fire Department,
I think it's good.
Without objection, Piney Creek,
I would like to see at least 25,000 added to their request.
okay,
To be backed up with 25,000, well, it'd be up to the next board
Right.
I just hate to lose a match.
I'm not going to support, I wouldn't support that. I'm a no.
I'm not there, but I'd kind of like to see after everything is done. I'd like to have an option to come back to that particular,
we can,
that's my vote.
okay.
To do what to
I'd
it?
like to come back to it after we move
Everything.
on.
Yeah,
How much we spend everywhere else
Well,
first, though.
I got,
I mean, without,
Not
There's
a-
any
get a
money
motion.
left.
I have no
Still
objection,
ask
and
the
with,
question, how we do equality with the rest of them.
y'all okay with coming back to that
Yeah.
one at the end?
I'm fine with coming
Okay,
back.
all right,
thank you.
you're welcome. Glade Creek, 48,667,
Previous year.
without objection.
No problem.
Laurel Springs, 41,607.
Okay.
Cherry Lane, 45,872.
No problem.
Fire Commission, looks like they had a raise.
Why is there a raise for the fire commission?
Not a raise. Well, the only raise that we have is $500 for the liquid propane that we were hit with last year. The rest of it is the workman's comp, life insurance, retirement reimbursement, and the $15,000 per department for the grants.
And you serve on that committee,
That's
right,
correct.
Johnny?
And also, we pay for their first aid, or the recertification of their first aid. That's $1,200.
It's essentially the fixed costs have changed coming to them.
You're
Our,
comfortable.
our new software, the line that's bold that says sub-account, that's the total. The 4 or 5 lines above that are all the deep component of that 132,700. So 132,700 is the amount.
On the
that-
screen.
On the screen here. So you've got, these are the component parts of it here, but 132,700 is the request. They don't have, there's a little.
We don't have that breakout.
Okay.
Like this.
Okay, okay.
Well, that explains what that bold line was for.
Yeah.
I thought, well, how did it just pick out that one and make it bold?
It means there's
Special.
detail behind it, so.
All right, so without objection, are we okay there?
I'm okay,
All right.
since I submitted it.
Well, I object. Thanks for clarifying that.
You better check my math.
Tom, can I get a second?
Amen.
Fire control, forestry?
That's a $5,000 bump.
2,000. Yeah, that was a
2,000.
little cost of living
2,000.
59 to
adjustment for the,
61.
for the
I'm looking at the
Rangers.
actual. I have no problem with that.
Without objection?
Yep,
Rescue squad,
no problem.
speak up if you
Considering
do.
they just spent $150,000 of their own money for a new vehicle.
Yeah, that was good. That's, really appreciate them doing that, raising that money and saving it and being able to be in a position to
That's a lot
own
of
that.
chicken.
Yeah. Maybe
They
we
are-
could take a lesson from
And
that.
they are debt-free.
And of course, the Arts Guild, zero, is there an Arts Guild?
I don't think so.
not
I
anymore.
was thinking that they went away.
They're just no more.
Right.
Are you gonna be able to strike them from your roll?
When they move out of the history there.
Yeah, they'll be in our software because they have history, but next year you won't see it on this.
All right, hospital,
We've guaranteed that.
that's solidified. Planning committee,
I think it's reasonable.
Is that the planning board?
Yes. Agnes
No,
Jones.
no,
No.
no, no.
No, committee.
planning committee.
This is
What's the planning committee do?
Agnes.
Ms. Joins's group, they work with the seniors.
$2,000 for placemat flyers and ads for a Hillbilly Show fundraiser and DVD cost, postage, $150, and then they've got liability insurance, which brings it to $2,500.
And what they generate goes back to the county, okay.
I
there
think
it was.
I think it's Brock.
Brock,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it supports services in
Absolutely.
the county, so.
You do.
It goes back to Brock. I've got no
Okay.
problem with that
yeah,
number.
I'm good too. We all good there?
Good.
Okay, Wilkes Community College. Bobby, why'd you let that number get so big? Ain't you on the Wilkes board?
Yes.
No.
He's on the state
I'm not.
community college board.
You're on the state board.
Yeah, the most, 90% of that increase was the paying 25% of that new position, the career counselor, that would be serving at the high school and working with the dual enrollment students. That was 90% of that increase there, which I think is money well spent.
You too, I agree.
Good.
On
Good.
the counselor and,
Yeah, the career counselor, yeah, which,
She-
I mean, Mark knows better than anybody, we gotta get more people in the trades, you know. I've been waiting on somebody to work on my gate for about
use-
3 weeks now.
I could use 2 or 3 this week anyway, last week.
well, it's also what the Educational Foundation does, that she's able to funnel a lot of those people to community college, not just Wilkes, but to a community college for 1 or 2 years, and it saves her parents a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah. Great asset. I
And
mean,
that's our pipeline for
It's an investment,
paramedics and all lots of other folks that we hire in the county as well. We never have enough paramedics.
So without objection there,
No objection.
okay. Health Advisory Council,
There was no request, so what do they
well,
do?
and I'm at a little bit of a loss for what,
That's part of the economic development plan. Maria Julian was here a few meetings ago and gave us an update on the health survey and all that. It's part of the economic development plan. So,
vaguely, yeah.
We spent no money last year.
the year where that's ending right now is the first year this has really existed. And they will have spent their money this year. But, you know, money was really tight. I recommended a decrease in that funding for next year. I would love to see it back to the 12.5, but I think $5,000 is reasonable.
I'm
Particularly with the
comfortable
increase
that.
we're giving the health department. I mean, that's kind of a subset of the health department too.
Okay, I can support that.
As can I.
Without objection, 5,000 remains. Allegheny Connections,
No problem.
no problems. Fireworks,
No problem.
That thing's blowing up.
just not in here, right? JCPC,
67,999 was their original request.
Right.
Then they came to us last night for the additional 24.5, whatever that I think this board said no to.
So this is the original
That's the original
request.
request,
Okay.
yeah. Which is only about 11,000, 12,000 of county, because we get money on the other side. It's about $12,000 of county money.
I have no objections for this amount.
67,999,
Correct.
I'm fine.
okay. Without objection. This occupancy tax, this is the one that's
It's going
gonna-
away,
that-
yeah.
That line will actually just be stricken from here, and then, of course, the revenue will be stricken, and it'll go straight to its own account, so. So that's gonna leave, that's going away.
Fines and tolls.
Fines and forfeitures,
Can't do anything
that's
with
pretty
that,
much
so.
a fixed number.
Yeah.
That comes from the court, ends up going to the schools, I think,
Mhm.
yeah. Wellness Center,
Well, to quote,
they requested, they
won't do
requested
it.
10, and manager didn't recommend any, or didn't plug any in. What's the conversation here?
I think we should provide some. I'm not for the 10.
I would support a half, but the problems that I've got with them, it's just like Miss Moncrief came up. She lives in Grayson County. is she paying more for her membership? Are we subsidizing the people that are coming from Virginia over here?
I don't know, John. That's a good question, but eating. I see it as.
I know we've had these same back and forths, and I know Bobby, I've heard Bobby's arguments, and you've heard mine. I think an organization whose sole purpose is to help the health of a county should get this particular amount, which has gone down substantially since there were boards that used to give the Wellness Center $50,000, $60,000. They are making their mark. Anybody that sees some of the statistics that we get on a yearly basis, since the health department, or the Wellness Center has been there, our numbers have gone up as a healthier overall county, and that's from the Census Bureau, I think, is where that came from. But, to quote Bob here, it says, we've done it all these years. And they're asking for $10,000. Well, the year before was 13. We've given them as much as 20 in the last 6-8 years. And now I'm going over the same arguments that we always have. I would support the $10,000. I would support giving that to the Wellness Center this particular year.
I just have a question. Apparently they have, I think he said 700 members this year.
I think that's about right.
And if you look at their budget appropriation, it looks like they're losing membership from this year to next year, from the actual 17 to what it's going to in 18. Now, I know what Tom is saying, that it's hard to cut totally, but we've given them close to $750,000 since it started. And when what's the new guy's name?
Mr.
Mason.
Mason, Steve Mason.
When he came on board, he just assumed
55.
that the county would be given that money all the time. But he has reduced, every year, he has reduced his request. And I think now is the time to get down to the zero request. He knows that it's going down. He's been acting like it's going downhill, what the county is going to give him. I just question the membership numbers. If I'm reading this right, look like they're going down. And has their membership dues, have they increased? I know last year he said they hadn't increased their dues. I don't know if they've increased them this year or not. And I don't know what their fund balance is.
I'm not so sure how they turned into, this is a nonprofit organization. And I'm just going to leave it at this, that provides a tremendous service to this county, and how we can go to zero is beyond me. I don't understand it. I'm not going to get emotional about it, but let's talk and then let's vote. But
I would have recommended the 10,000 had I not had to recommend a tax increase. I feel it's a good organization, but I couldn't justify it with having to recommend a tax increase.
we've gone through millions of dollars, and now we're going to get stuck on $10,000.
I'm not.
Wait until we get to music on Main.
We do have, I'm in favor of some level of support, and I think I hear three of us are.
That's what I'm hearing.
Now we got to figure out what level that is.
Well, can I offer a compromise?
You could all throw out a number, we could average the 5 numbers, a 0, a 10.
Well, I'm in favor, I think that what it does for this community and how much work and effort that they put into it for you know, a show of support for what all they do and what it brings to the county, and will continue to. I'm in favor of the 10. So
As
that-
am I.
That's where I'm at, but I'm,
Why don't-
we have a,
Why don't we cut it in half from the 13.7 from last year? Let's just call it $6,900.
If you've got a 10, a 0, a 10, a 5, and a 5, that's $30,000 divided by 5, that's $6,000 average of your all's recommendations.
we don't really have that. We have a 10, a 10, and a 5. You're at 5?
I would support the 10. You know, I drive by there every day, and the weekends you drive by where they're having the bike rally, that parking lot is overflowing. So I think there's a lot of revenue brought into the county based on what they do.
So
I think at some point, hopefully they'll get to the point they don't need county support, but I think they're doing probably more for the county than the county is doing for them.
That was eloquently stated, by the way.
So that's 3 10s.
Let's vote.
So, we'll go ahead and just make it a vote. All that's in favor of supporting them at a level of $10,000, just make it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 10,000.
5.
10,000. We just voted on 10,000.
No, okay, I'm voting on
That's-
5,000.
Okay. And that's a 3-2.
Nay.
3-2.
3-2.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
What did it wind up?
10. All right. Red Cross, we good?
Never asked a retired military man about their thoughts about the Red Cross.
Okay, what about the other, what about the other 4?
Larry got a nice photo op with them this year, so, you know, that was worth $2,200 right there.
They didn't pay me a thing. Just token money.
Well, I couldn't answer that.
About the only, if there's someone burnt out with hotel bill for military, the Red Cross will make loans, but this Red Cross, and I wouldn't give you a bucket of spit if they were on fire.
Well, I think we know where we stand.
I'm cleaning it up.
Thank you.
I think a bucket of spit would qualify as in-kind contributions rather than cash, so we don't need to worry about that.
We did transactions.
So what's,
I'm okay with the 2251.
I'm okay with the 2250 for the local Red Cross,
okay,
as long as they don't contribute anything to the national.
so 2251 without objection. Deed stamp, we pretty much gonna,
Should do it.
I would like
Is
to
that
add a
good?
comment on deed stamps. We've
Please.
already had to do a budget amendment this year for deed stamps.
yeah?
And it's offset with deed stamp revenues. So sitting here looking at what we've spent this year and already brought in this year, I'd like to request both sides, revenue and expenses, go up by $5,000 right there. Unless you all want to wait till, in the middle of
And
the
do a
year.
budget amendment, like you're trying to save a budget amendment down the road.
We
I
did
like
that at like 2
recommendation.
meetings ago, I believe, is when we did the deed stamp budget amendment.
What say the board?
Let's change it.
Change it,
Make it 60
60.
and a 60 on the revenue side. And that, the sole purpose of that is to hopefully head off a budget
5 to the revenue.
amendment.
Okay.
Of course, I'm okay if we have one.
That budget amendment.
I'm okay if we have to increase it again.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. It is
Yes.
a good thing.
That means that we're,
People buying houses, it drives up the property value, which gives us more tax money.
right,
so.
so that's a good thing. That's-
And we get a piece of the deed stamps. We get to keep a small portion of that, so.
All right, the next fund,
I didn't,
Register of Deeds Enhancement Fund, that's a percentage of the revenue that comes in. So that's for preserving the records and things like that, so.
no objection.
8,000 without objection. Okay. Transfer to transportation fund.
No objection.
Good there? Looks like it changed a
big
lot. I wonder what,
It is, this is actually for the ed program match. And this is, the amount that Tiffany believes that we need this year to match the ed program.
6,000 without objection? All right, senior service. Looks like that's been pretty flat. 12,852 without objection. Group homes, 45,000 without objection. Charlie Scott, Channel 50, 21 support.
You know, that's a pass-through there,
Okay.
so we get the grant in their name and transfer the money to them, so.
So we still putting money in this legal fund for I thought we had, of course, that's probably for storing records, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Wasn't there a meeting on that to have a discussion about what to do
Well-
with that? Where are we?
I don't think the meeting ever happened. I don't think they got a consensus on the date. I don't think it happened, that
thought it
I'm not
did.
aware of a meeting.
There were 50 emails back and forth. I can't do this date. Can we do this date? I can't do this date. Can we? I don't know that it's. It may have.
I had a
but-
conversation with Gary Blevins out of Wilkes County that they had
Okay.
met and discussed, and I don't know that they accomplished anything, so might want to try to reach out and see if there's a consensus. But that's for storage of records. I think they're in Watauga County, maybe?
They are, yeah. Darren has them in
And,
Watauga
all,
County.
all the counties that are involved are supporting that.
Correct.
And I think there's a consensus to maybe digitize those records or something, but anyway, we'll probably hear something back. But for now, 750 there.
Good.
We're good without objection. All right, the SRC. Request was 2,500. The manager's recommendation was 2,000. What was in that request? Did they have Music on Main in there?
What it
Yes,
says,
they
yeah,
do.
Music on Main, yeah.
You have music on Main.
Well, and that's they're the financial component for them, is what the agreement is there.
Correct.
So we're supporting Music on Main there. Is that everybody's
Yes.
understanding?
Yes.
Okay. So the request was 2,500, the recommendation is 2. Are we good without
Good with
objection?
that.
Conversation? Okay. Blue Ridge Business Development, 15,250 recommended.
Could you just, why that's down 5,000 from the request?
Well, the BDC's doing very well.
Things
They're
are-
covering their costs. Ideally, number would be 0.
Right.
We're not there. They do services for us. They manage the building and some other things. Actually, our contract's up. We've got to get a new contract with them here shortly. But, of course, I'm on that board, on the BDC board.
You got a lot of explaining to do.
But,
Your boards.
Well, they are,
They provide us
they're-
quite a bit of value.
Absolutely.
But, again,
and
I
all
was
of
looking
theirs,
for every nickel I could find.
Oh, I
And that was
understand.
an area we could lose a little and not damage anyone
And the-
too badly, so.
Okay,
the
that's
rent
fine,
spaces
thank
are
you.
full too, and
That's-
they've been staying
I
that
guess
way.
that's
Mine and
what I
Mark's
was-
rent will go up now. We cut that, but that's all right, so.
Okay, thank you. And I'm okay with that.
15,250 without objection.
No objection.
Okay, security at 6 facilities,
That's the fire
5250.
alarms.
Camera.
Video
Video
cameras we
cameras,
have
okay.
here and the old office building, the transfer station,
Well,
the Veterans Park,
And the
the
pool.
pool.
There's one, or there used to be one up at Davis Field. Is there-
Davisfield, yeah.
Is that the last one?
I think so.
Yeah.
I take my shoes off, getting too high.
And we keep up to be sure that they're always working and,
We check them periodically on a regular basis, certainly not, not every day. But I know,
Weren't we able to utilize them with some vandalism or
Yeah.
something that took place down at the park?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was, since I've been here, that's happened at least once, yeah.
All right, $5,250 without objection.
No problem.
Emergency service towers, tower lease space, 28,400.
Right now, today, we're paying tower lease to two companies, Skyline and to the new company, and we'll have the new towers all up and running here shortly, so we'll be able to drop we have to give Skyline 90 days notice, but we'll be able to drop that. That's why that number's coming down a little bit, so.
Curious, when you say shortly, what's shortly? What's your,
My understanding, they're reprogramming the ambulances' radios next week.
Yeah, the equipment on the towers is all there.
And
It's
tested.
it's to it's to upgrading everybody's radio right now is the
Okay.
last step, so.
Good.
Reprogram.
All right,
So everything, all the equipment is in place,
finally,
finally.
or almost finally.
That's great. Really?
It's taken a long time to get there.
It
Talked
did.
about that a lot.
Because that was one of the quarter-cent sales tax referendums 3 or 4 years ago was for this project, wasn't it?
I don't want to come across as
in hind-
giddy, but that's,
Yeah, they wanted to go to 800
glad.
megahertz trunking, though, at 2.8 million, wasn't it?
Well, I don't, no, you can't, I couldn't say that because I never seen a real plan of exactly what the
It was
plan
gonna happen.
was. It was just that we were trying to do something. We never did really get a good number, so, but anyway, we have a number now and we have towers and hopefully we're gonna have everybody fully up and functional. So with 28,400 without objection? Okay. Bond match without objection, 0.
I can deal with it.
0. Historical Society, the request is 2,500, recommendation is 0.
If we've got some extra funds, I think, with what they do, that is money well spent,
I agree.
keeping the history.
I would like to see the 25 put back in if at all possible.
I'd like to see it put in, period.
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 That's 3.
I do too.
That's fine, I'm in for favor too. So.
Okay.
Put it in, period.
It's 6-0. We better get to the end
Like
of this.
Chicago,
pretty soon.
somebody's voting twice.
Tombstone vote.
Can we put down Millie for the 6th vote? Oh, wait, she's already gone.
After the election.
Huey Long's running for office, so it's 7-0.
That's what.
Do that. Music on Main Street's gonna move up to there,
To the SRC.
so they're still gonna get their money.
Well.
SRC is handling the money for it,
SRC,
but at 2,000 instead
2,000,
of
yeah.
2,500.
it's a reduction of.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I like Partnership for Children. We give them 50, but they never spend it.
Well, hang on a minute before we go there. So we did that. Music on Main, as we're okay
That's 0.
with it, 0, and it's in SRC.
Yeah, it's moved up.
Any objection? Okay. Partnership for Children.
Interesting budget.
Well, let me share a little bit of insight there. You recall, I want to go back to our fall retreat, and we had all the agencies sitting in there. And one of the challenges we have locally is a child advocacy center. And they have really been trying to move towards some type of an advocacy center locally. And they have pursued training, they actually have gotten, and I didn't have time to get up with Mike this week. They're we had had a conversation about this lot that we own over here off of 18. I had it individually with everybody if they could secure funding and put together that. And they have actually gotten, this week, a request from the State Employees Credit Union to forward them some more information. They wanted to make sure there was support locally, but that they were interested in trying to help potentially finance. They didn't make a 100% commitment, but they want more information as long as there's local support and a need has been defined and developed for them to support construction of an advocacy center. And one of the things that they requested was if this board would still be willing to let them have that piece of property, they needed a memorandum of understanding stating so. And I'm not asking for that tonight whatsoever. But some of this money has gone towards, they've actually, I think, acquired some equipment for the interview process and things of that nature. So they've been moving in that direction. They just haven't really secured an outside source for the major component of the funding. But with our local support, at least on paper, that gives them an advantage and a leg up to try to secure, like the State Employees Credit Union. It really gave them an eye-opener whenever they said, you know, the county board at least seen that there was a need and would like to be able to do something to help. But any other questions or thoughts?
Why is there so much money put in there? Education. 13,000.
That is further education for the child advocacy folks that will be dealing with doing the interviews, the forensic interviews and things of that nature. For the
Tab
center.
number's that?
I believe that's to be true.
60.
60.
What tab number?
60.
I hope that lot has enough buildable area to serve them. It would be a great location for it there with Bottomley's new construction going on there and the, what's that little development back there called? The little housing development there?
Highland.
Highlands, yeah, that'd be a great location for it. But some of that lot's in the floodplain, as long as there's enough area
It
there.
would.
Last year, I
60
think
is
you
Allegheny
asked-
Group Homes.
No, it's 60E.
Okay. Yeah.
Last year, I think you asked for that 50,000. I thought it was just to be set aside in case it was needed. But apparently, all of it was used?
No.
How much was used out of the 50,000?
We've paid them 50,000.
But it's sitting in their account. They're holding it, waiting for some more
Now, this is the
match.
same agency that they were holding interviews with children that had been abused or something. They had to be in a separate room, and the interviewers looked at them through a mirror or something.
That's part of what they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're currently not, now if they're involved in that, they have to take the child out of the area.
But that service is provided.
Right,
But they just have to go to Wilkes or Boone or,
right.
I think it was Boone, wasn't it?
And in a lot of cases, when they're going, there's social services workers with them, and sometimes there is deputies with them that are having to spend those hours on the road back and forth, depending on the circumstances and the court.
Is that 50,000 go to pay the deputies and
No, we're paying that out of the sheriff's budget.
out of the sheriff?
Yeah.
So you're asking for another 50,000 for this coming year?
Yeah.
You're on the board, I support it. You understand it.
They are very, they don't waste any money, and they're very much trying to move towards acquiring a local child advocacy center. And with the challenges that we're having and the traveling that's going on, it would help a lot of areas in the county. social services and the law enforcement being a couple of those that are putting in a lot of time on the road. If we had one locally, and they're a key fit for doing that, and the director there has the overall education, but there's some specialized training and things that would go into it. So I'm excited for where it's at, and for the State Employees Credit Union to have sent this week an invitation to send more information that they were interested. They usually have a project in the area whenever they move in that they like to champion something like this, and they haven't yet really had a project like this, so it really is,
I would support it as well.
okay.
Do you know how much of that 50,000 is left?
Most of it, I think, I can't tell you the exact number, I've seen so many,
So now we're building them up to 100,000.
yeah. And like I said, it's going towards local support that it's going to allow them to, I think this will do it to allow them to get all the funding that they need to build.
What
the
if they
facility.
don't get the funding? What happens to this money? They still use it, whatever?
Well, I mean, yeah, if once we put it to them, but I have confidence in the group that's there, that it will be used for this or returned. I do, I really do. I've served on that board since I've been a commissioner, and I see the heart and the passion, and they've gone through a strategic plan a couple of years ago, or maybe, 2 years ago at least, and that's kind of what steered this idea and this movement toward this child advocacy center.
Can't you give it conditional based on,
Can,
or trust you as a board member?
like I said, either way you want to do it, I'm confident that it will get utilized for the right reason, or if that totally falls through, that it would be returned. That's how.
Couldn't we do a budget amendment along the year if they
You could.
get into that situation?
You
where
could,
they
however,
need it?
you could. However, with it being budgeted, it shows a level of commitment, saying that we understand as the leadership in the community that we feel the need for it enough to where we're willing to support it, and that helps to secure outside funding better. But that's just my thoughts.
No problem.
I'm in favor of it, obviously.
It's three.
You're on that committee, you've been on that, and the only thing I'm thinking is how, if that money's gonna go to leverage more money, how's that different than what the Piney Creek folks are asking for? But I am okay with.
So, John, was you good on it?
I'm good with it.
Myself, that's 4.
No.
4-1. Okay. Thank y'all.
Before you revisit Piney Creek, we are now at basically $109,000 to the better from where we started, day one, so.
We spent $60,000 in 30 minutes.
For politicians, that's pretty good. Of course, most of that was the soil and water, position.
Okay,
Go to a 3% property tax increase instead of 3.5.
well, I indicated I did want to come back and talk about this Piney Creek.
Yeah, let's move back to Piney Creek discussion.
What were our savings that we took out? Is there
109,000.
109,000 right now.
109?
We're 109,000 to the better as of right this second.
I understand, Johnny, that argument about the other fire departments and I'm in a unique situation compared to you guys, because I'll probably never hear from the other fire departments. And I can appreciate that. These guys at Piney Creek, I'm telling you, this is a real dilemma. And if we committed $25,000 this year, that would really put them, that would be a shot in the arm for these guys to raise this money. I would like to give more money to all the fire departments. I think you're on the right track when you have this discussion on a fire tax. I think it's getting close to time. And as intricate as that can be, I know you'll have one district that's not interested in a fire tax at all, I would think. And then,
Because they've got a bank balance.
well, right. But that still leaves four that leaves four that would be interested in that. These guys, you know, we do it every year, and we talk about how much we appreciate them and everything they do, and I know we're stretched thin, but I could go along with the 25,000, understanding that I am in a unique position compared to the other four. And I'm not necessarily I could go along with $25,000 this year with the possibility of $25,000 next year, even though I won't be here.
You show up and support them next year.
Well, I'll watch you on television.
You watch the live stream?
And that's just a gut thing.
Okay. Where you at, Larry?
To see us have some kind of, guideline for how we're going to treat the other fire departments when we get requests from them. Is it only gonna be for building, or is it gonna be, the rest of them are getting out and raising money, and Piney Creek may have a harder time doing that than the other ones, I don't know. But we do ask a lot out of them. I just think we're opening up ourselves for four more coming forward with requests, so I think we need some guidelines.
The agenda on the next meeting, probably mid-July, I'm going to request that we started discussing the fire tax. Because we can go into fire districts, there's several ways that we can do this. But we've got to have support to these departments, and to me, that would be the fairest way to do it, let them pay the fire tax. We are the only county around here that does not have a fire tax. And whenever we started getting stretched for money, we can cut that budget. You know, we don't want to, but if we're really over the barrel, we could. With the fire tax, they are guaranteed income. With guaranteed income, they can go to a bank with a,
You say we can cut it, you mean we can, the way we're currently doing it, we can cut it.
Yes.
But when there's a fire tax,
we
the
can't.
tax
All that money's got to go
is
to the
gonna go along the plan
Yeah.
that's set up. Okay. Just
And,
wanted-
and if I understand, I know we're not in this discussion, but different districts have a different rate, is that correct?
That's correct. It can't, there are several ways that it can be set up according to what I've been reading in that book that we've been given. One, you can make one gigantic fire district, which would be the county of Allegheny, but then that tax fund money has got to be allocated by the county commissioners. So we're basically in the same shape, but we've got money that's been collected. Now, if we go with fire districts, let's say Cherry Lane, we draw out the fire districts and say that you are in Cherry Lane Fire District. Cherry Lane, how much money do you need for operation cost? If they say we don't need any, we've got money in the bank, we don't want it, we set their fire tax rate at 0.
This is the email I sent you all the other day,
Yeah.
some of the counties around, they have around the same property tax that we do. So like, Moore County here, they had the same fire tax all throughout the county. Most counties, though, it varied by district. So like this county here, it was as high as 10 cents, as low as 6 cents. Here it was as high as 13, as low as 8.7. So that's generally the way it worked. The different fire districts would ask for whatever they need for that particular year.
Avery is interesting in that they kind of do in-house fire tax.
They put it in their budget ordinance that 7 cents of the property tax is earmarked for the fire department.
Surrey County also has a fire tax.
Yeah, they weren't, their tax is a lot higher than ours already. I didn't include, but yeah, they have their average is about 5.5 cents is about their average fire tax. So, which, 5 or 6 cents is about where the average is for most
Well,
of the counties.
if you look at this, the way the hospital needed a commitment to get that money, and we made that commitment to them. Piney Creek needs a commitment to get the rest of that pledged money that's in the bank right now. I just hate losing, the possibility of losing that money.
I agree, it's a unique situation.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I want to say, and I'm not, with this fire tax, also, the idea that with this 25 or quarter-cent sales tax, I think we should pursue that, and when we thrash it all out, I think if that's earmarked for school safety and fire departments, that may be the bump we need to get us through some of these harder times. And I think school safety and fire departments would be an easier sell on anything that we've tried up to this point as far as a quarter-cent sales tax would go. And you've said yourself that's the fairest tax we got.
I like sales tax. Well, I don't like any tax, but
I like
I'll
consumption.
take the sales tax over.
But I think
anything
that
else.
ought to be part of the discussion, and
Well, if we go, right now, we've got one SRO. If we add 3 or 2 additional SROs, all the money from that sales tax is going to go to SROs. just
I'm not
about.
saying we're doing it in 1 year, I'm not saying it all goes into SROs necessarily, but now, I think the figure was it $180,000 there
Approximately, yeah.
about?
180, 185.
One something like that.
That's rising, that should go up and be, a couple of years, that might be 200,000.
Right.
That should increase.
And, I think that would be something that I would trust an elected official to,
That's still not going to meet the needs of the volunteer fire departments.
Well, let me add my
Understand.
2.5 cents, well, 2 cents worth.
3.5 cents.
how about a quarter cent?
I know when if we support this Piney Creek, that it's going to change things. But I think we need to change things going forward to let our fire departments know and quit saying and put our money where our mouth is and go ahead and support them. Now, is this going to be, are we going to be challenged over some doing this? I guarantee you we will. But my message is this, and my position is this. I want to support them. I want to support them more in the future than we have been able to in the past. And I had that, no disrespect to any previous boards. I sat on 2 or 3 budgets, and it's tough, everything we do, but we hear and we see what these ladies and gentlemen do for us. And I think this board should take this opportunity to seize this moment for Piney Creek and tell the rest of them going forward, we're in the driver's seat. Basically, we can control the spending ever how we want to. That's exactly what we're doing. So that's the plan going forward for me is I want to hear from them. When they have needs, we can't meet them all. We can't meet all the requests that we've gotten this year. But going forward, we are going to try to do our dead level best to support you. And this quarter-cent sales tax, with their support on that, is going to help us to help them going forward whenever they come up with a big off-the-wall expense, unexpected or whatever. Come to us and ask us. And we'll do everything I think that we can within our means to help, and with their support with this quarter-cent sales tax, we will have a pool of money whereby which we can work from and give it back to them in ways that will help them, and we'll decide by the request. We may get, 5 different requests from 5 different counties, but they're going to be rated and prioritized, and we're going to be making tough decisions over that, just like we do everything else in the budget. So I really think it's an opportunity for us to seize the moment, to change going forward, and to really put our money where our mouth is and quit saying we're going to try to do more for them, and take this opportunity, and then go from here forward and continue to put our money where our mouth is and try to do what we can to help them.
Now, I would point out, Mr. Chairman, Glade Creek, they submitted a budget request for $150,000. They went through the process, they submitted it. So there's a request, they've asked for the money.
But we're not leveraging any dollars. Those requests are just general, not specific requests. I mean, I think it's a different situation, a different scenario, and, everybody that's going to make these requests, especially of that size, need to come in and plead their case.
How much money do we have in the kitty right now? About 109.
109 before the $25,000 increase.
109 subtract 25,
That's 84.
84. We
We're
have
84,000 to the better.
84,000 to the better. We have a rescue squad and 4 fire departments that are left. Correct? That are getting nothing.
Getting no additional.
They're
yeah.
getting no
Level
additional.
funding.
Plus,
So that's 5. If we've got 84,000, we're gonna give 25 to Piney Creek. I would suggest we give 10,000 to, additional dollars, since we've saved it. Give 10,000 additional dollars to each of the volunteer fire departments and the rescue squad. That will mollify them a little bit because they are getting more than we went into this board. And it would also help us justify giving the 25,000 to Piney Creek.
Question right now is, where are we on the 25,000 for Piney Creek?
Well, I think I hear 3 in favor of that and kind of a conditional 4th.
And I'm just trying to salvage as much as I can for the
Yeah.
additional fire departments.
But the 4th one was the condition that we give the remaining to the other fire departments and the rescue squad. So let's talk about the
And we will
25 to Piney Creek. Let's kind of leave it there. Anybody in favor, just without other conditions, to go ahead and support them?
I'm in
25?
favor of the 25,
I am too.
this year and next year.
Well, this year.
This year's the only year we can
Yeah.
commit to.
Tom, where are you at?
yeah, I think no, I don't think,
You're on board?
I'm on board with the 25.
What'd you say?
I'm on board. But I want to continue,
where John's going.
I
I want to
I
continue.
like the
what
idea of
Donnie said.
possibly increasing the others. I'm not so sure that much, but enough to where they realize that we have.
Well, that'll still give us 36,000 to the good. Correct, sir?
34,000, yeah.
34,000 to the good.
So, let's just go ahead. So on the Piney, let's do the Piney Creek deal. We got 4, it's 4-1 without condition.
Yeah.
All right. Is that where we are? So 25,000 for Piney Creek, okay.
Yes.
All right. Now then, so we've got consensus there to make that change. So let's now further the conversation. Is there an appetite to take some of the remainder and give a little more to the other requests? What say y'all?
To the other fire departments?
Yes, and the rescue squad, I think, was what was mentioned.
I would like to see something along the line of SROs. you know, some
Rather
support,
spend that
more
$80,000
support for
on an
the
SRO.
SROs.
Okay. So you're not in favor of giving any
I'm
to
just
this?
expressing that opinion. How much is left?
84,000.
And that's with a 3.5 cent increase?
What Johnny has said about these other fire departments and the rescue squad is 100% correct. What you said that it's time to step up occasionally was correct. And I could support $10,000 to each of those entities before we get into an SRO discussion. Now,
so are
Johnny,
we-
just one quick thing. Now, you're on this fire commission, and you feel that's going to make a substantial difference in the remaining fire departments?
Yes. I do.
So that's going to mean an additional level for Piney Creek of 15,000.
Correct. They're gonna receive 15,000.
Or are we going to include them 10 and then 25?
No. You know, they're gonna be 15 to the good.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. They get to 25, the rest of them get 10. Is my recommendation. Now, Mike had floated an idea of us paying their utilities. Just to show you what the impact would be. The Sparta Allegheny utilities in the winter run about $1,000 a month. So we're basically paying their utilities.
But not Piney Creek.
Honey Creek, they all have operating costs.
Yeah, we have to call some, if we get above 50,000, we have to call some of it expense reimbursement to keep them at their grant match where we want to be, which.
Which we could use
Yeah, and
the,
I've talked to the folks in Raleigh on that, and they're basically, it's don't ask, don't tell, you know. We give you a $50,000 appropriation, and we give you a $10,000 expense reimbursement. Don't ask, don't tell, we won't, they'll still get their grant match, you
They've
know,
got
so.
fuel, they've got electricity, they're gonna burn through that $10,000. But it's $10,000 they do not have to raise for operating expenses. That is an additional $10,000 that could go in their bank accounts or to buy additional equipment.
on the table.
I would agree.
You got 3 in favor so far.
3.
Bobby? I guess that'll do it. I'm in favor of it too, by the way, just in case you wondered. I mean, with what I just said, I could not.
Oh, see, how you could.
Thank you. I do have two sides to my mouth, but I try to talk through the middle.
You hadn't been a politician that long, have you?
Careful what you say around this outfit.
I think it's a win. I mean,
It
what we
is.
get for that money is, we couldn't invest it in a better place to the return.
Takes a special person to run into a burning house.
Kind of like the work we've got right now.
We have little more work to do, but I don't know about y'all, but
No, I'm ready to keep plowing on.
Okay. All right.
I'm kidding.
See if we can take a
Trying
turn
to be-
Tom.
I think we're going to rubber stamp about everything that's
We will
left, so
discuss
let's
the
finish it
part-time
up.
position across the hall later.
We can discuss it now, I think. The question was the what's that piece, the Board of Elections. There was a question brought up one of our meetings about the
Secretary,
requirements over there.
What have I done now?
It's like,
Thank you.
You couldn't hear Johnny? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you don't hear that much about me.
so,
Is that
Besides
something we're looking at?
besides the Board of Elections, what else is there that anybody has
Well-
that we've covered and discussed and don't feel like we have
Well,
reached?
the the replacement for Vicky Moyer, but both those positions are essential whenever you get right down to it.
Okay. Well, since Larry's left, let's not, but any other, so those two positions, any other areas that anybody can think of that we've discussed and haven't reached a conclusion on yet?
Well, I think it was Bobby brought up the 3 social services folks that we think are scheduled to retire. Did we need to replace all 3 of them? That was the question there. And I don't think there was a period put on the end of that sentence. It's my recommendation that we replace all 3 positions.
Isn't it just about required, since the money comes from the federal government and they rule that program?
Well,
I think the way it's actually written, I don't think it's clearly states that they must be, but I think we're going to run into challenges in other areas possibly.
Deb Oliver's position, we absolutely have to replace. That Allegheny in Motion will go out of business if we don't have that position properly operating, in addition to all the folks not getting to their medical appointments. So that one certainly is my strongest recommendation, to replace that one. The other 2, could one person do it? I don't know. I mean, it's human nature. Everybody feels they're overworked and underpaid, and they're doing all the work, and somebody in another department's not doing their fair share of the work. That's just human nature. So that's certainly, it's my recommendation that we replace those positions. But I'm certainly, your all's decision on that, certainly. The 2 social services folks that are retiring.
Social services folks retiring, and then there was talk about the 2 people over here, and then the 1 upstairs in recreation. We were just kind of generalizing, really. We weren't really making decisions, just having sort of a conversation along those lines. Trying to find out if there's any other areas we've discussed that we haven't resolved.
I think on those positions, we need to remember that we've done a lot of research, and this county, with the number of employees, does tremendous things. And did we not compare ourselves to other counties of similar population?
That was just a month or so ago. we did that.
Absolutely,
We
and
came out good, but I just have a hard time understanding why 2 people full-time in the Board of Elections are needed.
Mhm.
And I know where we compare the Board of Elections to Board of Elections. Don't believe we have that many people dying, that many people coming in to register to vote. If we had an influx of people moving in, yeah.
Pretty satisfied
1.5
that,
persons per week dying, I don't think that's gonna take a full-time position.
Well, yeah, also, if you got a felony conviction, you've got to remove them, so. We getting a lot of felony convictions?
I'm pretty satisfied that most every county in this state, and I'm not saying we have to compare ourselves to others all the time, have a minimum of 2 people in the Board of Elections office.
Whenever the director is gone for training or at a meeting or something like that, we've got to have someone in there.
Well, and even if we were to pursue it and discover that we possibly could make a change, I don't know that we would have enough time to do that now. I think it would take time to flush it out and to make that determination, so.
Go to the Board of Elections.
See what all is there. But I mean, I'm like you, I would be interested to hear a little bit more about it. From the outside, it doesn't seem to be that much involved, but neither did this. On the inside,
Sorry.
it gets.
I would hear that all the time as, a trainer at the bank, well, there's no training class this week. What are you doing all week, so.
Yeah.
Working on lesson plans.
We discussed the other night the parking lot, and you were going to look at some quotes on tar and chip, or what did we wind up there with?
I don't have any quotes yet at this point. We had deduced it would be about $40,000 based on our best guesstimate, but I don't have any written quotes at this point, so.
And we have budgeted out of our general fund about 20,000.
20,000.
About 20,000 from the recreation.
Yes.
Beamer.
Beamer project, yeah. What are we calling that?
Total
Outdoor
cost was
recreation.
Outdoor
57.
recreation, that's gonna be a fund for that, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Beamer's going away, unless you're gonna drive one.
Beamer's outdoor recreation.
Okay.
But the total cost was 57,000 to
That was for asphalt.
asphalt.
Yeah,
55.
55, right.
Two of that was
55.
for
For other maintenance out
Yeah.
there, yeah.
55,
In that range.
for asphalt. And we're
We're
estimating.
guesstimating
Based
40,000
on
for
some
tar and chip.
information.
Yeah.
So that may change a little bit. If it does, we may have, in order to do it, we may have to do a budget amendment of a small amount if we didn't budget enough.
So we're still looking at asphalt at 55 or whatever it is.
No, the
I thought-
consensus was tar and chip.
Tar and
Well,
chip, yeah.
That's what we budgeted. Now, when it comes down to it and we see all the information, if the board at that time wants to go up to asphalt because they think it's the better investment, then that decision
Yeah.
can be made at that time.
How it's going to last, the longevity
Yeah.
of it.
I think that discussion would still be open, but we have 20,000 from the general fund thereabout for hard surfacing of some sort down there. That's what I think, that's where we are, I think.
I don't know very much about tar and chip personally. I'd never heard that term until I worked here in this county. I'd never heard that term before, so I don't know much about it.
We have a monopoly on it.
It's paving on a budget.
We want to go through and finish up?
Well, I don't know that we're gonna have quite the will to
You're
go
getting a little
that
edgy,
far.
I can tell.
I would, there is one little thing we
Bobby's
could go ahead,
done.
I think, and get out of the way, if I could get Tom's attention over
I'm
there just a
sorry,
minute.
it is.
I think we were handed fees and schedules, and I don't think there's a proposed change in any of those except for
Solid waste.
solid waste.
I didn't see that.
It was, should have been laying on your table, along with some of the other papers that were laying on your table. They were actually put out there tonight. But the solid waste is the only fee, I may have them all in my hand, I don't know.
No, we.
You have some?
Solid waste, the household fee was going up from 70 to 75, and then we were charging for some bulk items that we had not charged for before.
Is, do we have a,
What's your charges for weight?
Yeah.
For weighing?
It's going to stay the same at, we charge $2 for that.
We need
That'll give-
we need to go to 5, that's the norm.
Okay. I mean, that's a reasonable suggestion, yeah.
Yeah.
That'll give us enough for the second set of scales.
Well, enough to cover the loan payment on the second set of scales, yeah.
But are you going to redesign the the flow and the buildings and?
Well, the 18-19 budget year, we're going to just pave the loop. The redesign will be in the 19-20 budget year. We're going to split up the household and commercial and go to commingled recycling. But that's for the next year after that. So, which recycling's a whole other problem we need to talk about some other time. So, there is a great oversupply of recycled stuff out there and no demand. And I don't, the city of, one of the Charlotte suburbs, Concord, the city of Concord just announced that the vendor they've been selling all their recyclable materials to announced they're not going to renew their contract. So July 1st, Concord has no place to sell all of their recycled stuff. So their manager's in a panic right now.
I'd find your rate sheet for
Yes,
the,
I've just found it.
Are we charging for appliances?
All that'd be under the furniture, yeah, well, that would be under the furniture
Are
there.
we
yeah.
recovering, our
Refrigerant?
refrigerant fees now? Because we aren't getting a grant for that anymore.
Our revenues for our white goods program, from the sale of the white goods, it outpaces the expenses that we have for our white goods program. That's why we're not getting a grant for that.
Okay. Well, they did away with that grant program for the Freon recovery. That went away, it goes away, that went away June 30th of last year. But if we're breaking even, that's good.
So the number one residential staying, let's see, is that, what,
That's increasing from 70 to 75.
Okay.
That's the proposal.
in the, any other changes down through there?
Just, we were going to start, the 7, 8, and 9, we're going to start charging for taking brush, taking large pieces of furniture, and taking animal mortalities.
And what, it says large amount of brush. I mean, they're gonna have a general description of what's a large amount, or at their discretion, or?
Yeah, basically, your first pickup truck or trailer load will
When
be
they've
free.
been hauling it in for about
and
a
then-
week or so.
Then
it's-
you start
okay.
charge after the first one.
And then, is there a fee on here for the weigh using the scales? Is that listed on this sheet?
No, it's not. We need to make sure, we need to have that on there.
So it would be a number 10?
Yeah,
Just a
$5 for a certified weight.
Scale fee? Which we currently are charging $2, and you're proposing 5?
5, yeah.
Everybody got that?
What was that, one more time, sorry?
It's
Certified weight.
Certified weight?
Yeah, using the scales, just to
Oh,
go in and
okay.
get a weight.
95% of those are during tree season. We have folks come in occasionally, but most of
Yeah.
those are during tree season.
So they're profiting, and they're making, I mean, it's a business that they're running, and so. Is that okay with everybody, all of
I
those?
have no problem with it.
Is there a problem with trash coming from outside the county to our landfill?
Maybe from Virginia?
We have some from Grayson County, I'm sure. You know, we have out-of-town plates, you know, people live here part-time, that kind of thing. If we don't know the car, we don't know the person, we're generally asking, you know, proof of residency, things like that, but there's no way we're catching 100%. There's just no way, you know. But we do a pretty good job there.
Did we get anything on our capital loan?
Yeah, the capital loan, we actually have, we didn't use all of this year's capital loan. So we're only going to need to borrow about $220,000 for this year, so. And then there'll be a capital loan in the transfer station fund for the scales.
And that will be covered out
That'll be a
of the
separate loan, yeah.
enterprise fund. Okay, well, I think we had a very, very good night. We actually have a few more pages left. I would just look through those, make notes. I think we can cover those after our public hearing. That's what, Tuesday?
Tuesday?
We'll have that, we'll hear the folks, we'll, at that point, finish going through this, and any other questions we haven't finalized.
Yeah, I'd like for us to discuss again the fairgrounds and a business plan around, can have a trailer park around,
Grant?
necessarily have to be under the same staff. If business plan should make it pay for itself.
Does that need to be a budget, or could that be a meeting
know.
after?
That's-
at a-
that's-
after
It's
the
going to
budget?
require an outlay for electrical hookups in certain areas.
That should be a project for
Yeah.
the budget year. It's not, when the, you know,
Yeah, I don't want to see us let it go, but
Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
need to get that back in.
Well, why don't we just put that on one of our future upcoming meetings and as an agenda item and have a discussion and figure out how we want to sort of pursue it, figure out how we can develop it.
I think that's a good idea, and let's not forget that we did have a gentleman, a citizen, that wanted to talk about the tennis courts and some things, and I think that ought to be, I think that would be a nice agenda item as well.
I think that's the conversation of who owns what.
Well, that.
Eventually.
Yeah, but I'm more interested in, if we have other schools that are refusing to come up here because we've got lines you can't see, that.
He actually called
gets
me
my
today
attention.
and found somebody to paint the 3 courts for $750.
I think we need to
total.
have that discussion.
That's like hardship on a budget, that's tennis courts on a budget, there we go.
We've
So,
also got the, what are we calling it, the outdoor recreation that we'll be cussing and discussing on, the Beamer money.
Former Beamer.
Yeah, we've still got a couple of weeks left on the comment period there, so that'll be a July, at our July meeting, we'll have some, we'll figure out the next step on that.
On those requests, there were some tennis court items on
I
there,
believe tennis had been mentioned a time or two.
so I don't gotta type that in.
I think one thing, like what Tom was talking about, the tennis courts, are they lit at nighttime?
I don't know, apparently they are, I don't know who turns them on and off, I don't know the answer to that.
They have the ability to turn them on is the way that I took it. That's the way, that's
It's been
why they're
that,
playing soccer up there.
it's been that way since 1976. You can turn them on,
I can just walk up and turn them on? you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You turn them on yourself?
yes.
Okay.
And that has been the source of a lot of problems. I know you guys
And
don't
utility
necessarily want to talk
bills
about
on
it
that.
now, but, those lights have been left on. I know the Sparta folks, the or the
Police department.
police department had to go up several occasions, turn them off, and that was why I asked him, if that's where a lot of the mischief's taking place, or if it's such a need, do we need to have those lights, which, at night, are they getting that kind of use? I think those are all topics we need to,
Later on.
well, not right now.
Once we figure out who owns them.
Yeah, right.
I want to know who's paying the electric bill.
Motion to.
with that, we will entertain a
recess.
motion to
Second.
recess until Tuesday,
Second, third,
Sometime.
fourth.
6:30.
June.
Public hearing is 6:30.
June the 19th at 6:30 for a public hearing for our budget. Following that, we'll try to, I think we can finish up what little bit we have left pretty easily. Thank you all for the long night.
Thank you.
And